Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast.
Coming to you from SideQuest Studios, this is the Simpsons Index, episode 247, and a return to the old 3-episode review format. Woo!
Holy fucking crap.
Yay. This is the third last time we'll be doing that because...
Yay!
Yeah, as you know, for the last year, we've just been reviewing one episode at a time because, frankly, it's easier, but we still have...
running out.
In 3 of these 3-episode format time, we will run out, but we'll get to that when we do. Anyway, hi, I'm Elliot Jay O'Neill.
Hi, Elliot.
Hello here, as always, except when he's not BT Calloway.
Hi, Shag.
And I'm Danny Rosewell. Danny Rosewell.
Hi, Claire.
Get away from my microphone, John. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Jordan.
It's our microphone. Rise up.
We just watched the same episode 3 times in a row and see how we review it differently each time.
Yes.
I'm not watching that episode again. I'm sorry. I'm vetoing that immediately.
God, you could not pay me enough to not watch that episode again.
You could pay me quite a lot to watch that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
there
pay-
is a limit, right? But then you become a billionaire and then we have to kill you.
You can try. I'll have billions at that point. I'll just make a fence made out of this episode. You
Beach,
won't
I
wanna cross
know
it.
that your torso was made of paper mache, so I could easily tear you apart, I'm sure.
There's candy inside.
Wow, this has gotten really violent. This episode has created a level of anger.
Little do you know, I'm into that. That's my kink.
Yeah, so this episode may have broken us a little, and of course, yeah, we start with the new one. So, just a preface, pre-something, I'm going to talk now. So yeah, at this end stage of the Index 3-episode format, of course, right at the end is all the episodes that I've been putting off, including these 3. So we're going for a bit of an Apu theme at the time, and yeah, long-time listeners will know that basically when we started the Index, the Problem with Apu documentary came out, and like talked about
100 years ago.
and 20,000 Simpsons episodes.
A lot of
Excuse me.
history on that there podcast.
Yeah. And we talked about reviewing it for the podcast, but it's like, it's not objectively, I don't think it's a well put together documentary, but it makes a very, very, very important point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I kind of wanted just a bit of distance from it itself because I didn't want to be too reactive to it because there were lots of people on podcasts, giving their opinion on the fucking thing.
Jumping that bandwagon.
Yeah, and I wanted to give it a bit of time, especially to see what they do and how they replace Apu, which to this day, they have not.
But they have effectively, Hank Azaria has refused to do the voice, ergo basically removing him, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something.
But yeah, it's been 5 years now since they've retired him from the show or put him on hiatus or whatever you want to call it. And so here we are today reviewing these episodes like this one. This was Season 27, Episode 12, Much Apu About Something. First released in January of 2016, directed by Bob Anderson, written by Michael Price. In this episode, the Quickie Mart gets destroyed, and because of Apu's scratchy addiction, Sanjay's son Jamshed, who we last saw in Homer the Heretic as a toddler, is now rebranded the Quickie Mart, and he's made it all millennial style. And that's annoying Apu. And in the B story, Homer makes Bart stop pranking, and he stops pranking until he doesn't. Hey, y'all, what did we think?
Flaming hot garbage.
I've seen Flaminger.
I didn't like it. Is that surprising to anyone? No, it's not great. No, I wouldn't recommend watching it to anyone.
Yeah, Flaming Hot Garbage episode, cold take, because that's, I'm assuming, what everyone will think about this.
I wouldn't call it flaming. I've seen. It's just.
I was thinking about it's so symptomatic of like any TV show that goes on for too long. It's just, I don't know why. How do they keep getting contracts? Because it's just, who's watching this at this point? Who is The Simpsons for
Us.
in the
Literally podcasts.
late 2010s? Like, I just don't get it.
Sorry, Claire, did you enjoy the show?
No. No.
All right, that's everybody. Good night.
Let's rank this.
Like, I actually don't really even know where to start with it because it has a relatively simple premise. Like, I was surprised that Elliot summed it up so concisely because when you actually watch it, it's all over the shop.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely, skipping details.
But, when you think about it, the details were stupid and pointless, but just the way it was jammed together. We always used to talk about the, A story, B story, and maybe a little touch of something like underlying those two things. But the way they intercut the different threads, it didn't really flow or make sense and quite often I was going, wait, why is this being brought up? Like the whole lotto side of things.
That took so long and is so pointless to explain why.
Completely unnecessary.
Jay had full control, or Jumpshit, or whatever his name is.
Yes. They could have just left it at that comment of saying, you know, oh, but my father had a controlling interest in the store.
Instead, they had to go into this long, prolonged bit about Apu getting hooked on scratchies and always selling off part of his ownership of the Quickie Mart, and it's like, we didn't need it.
Oh my God. And then, like, Apu really wishes he had his old store back. Oh, the only thing that could save us now is if Bart pulls a prank. That'll set everything back to the way things used to be.
Yeah. Yeah, the B story in this one, so it starts out with a parade that, Bart sabotages and doesn't get in trouble with the law, just gets in trouble with Homer, makes him promise to...
Because he has footage of him committing it, so he can't...
And that parade was already pretty fucking off the rails.
Yeah.
It was, but I feel that... I mean, I don't want to jump ahead to sort of what stood out to me, but I do.
You
also,
can.
because...
We'll start with you. What stand out for you for better
It was how contrived that was, because basically it was like all of the volunteer firefighters were fucking around well before Bart pulled a lever that eventually did, like, you know, cause the thing. And it wasn't even him that caused the real problem, because it was them going, our last resort, foam, and then that caused the crash, right? Whatever. But it's the fact that, one, Bart has to do his catchphrase. It's catchphrase central, right? Where he has like, I didn't do it. Nobody told me to do it. You can't prove it. Blah blah blah. And then Homer also, and also he has to say I caramba. But then Homer, for some reason, is like, oh no, now I'm the beacon of integrity, and I will prove that it was you. And also now this means that you can never prank again, or else I'll release the footage. Homer would have laughed his fucking ass off at all of that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
yes,
wrote
he would
that as a big integrity break.
He
as
would
well.
have been upset that the Quickie Mart was damaged, but he probably know that it's a chain. They're going to get rebuilt. They're all insured. It's fine. The fact that he's like, no, you can never prank again,
or else I'll release the footage, is a weirdly blackmail way to do it as well.
Jordan, I think you hit an exact point of Homer being mad at Bart for pulling the prank is not very Homer. But if it had been like, you pulled a prank that destroyed the Quickie Mart, that's where I get my donuts, you're in trouble now, boy.
I would have believed that.
That would
straight
have made a lot more sense. They needed the extra 20 seconds of thinking about it.
Yes, and there was so much unnecessary crap in this episode. They had plenty of time for him to be like, you owe me big time for this, boy. Like, you know, you've ruined the one good thing in my life, the Quickie Mart. Like, easily a Homer-esque reason. But even the way that he threatened Bart was like, you know, I'm going to send you to prison for 100 years. I'm like, what?
Fuck off.
Is happening, you know?
Yeah, he said, you can rot in jail.
Yes.
I'd like to add, while we're on this, that Bart pulling a single lever, he would have had no idea what it does, or whether it was aiming exactly at the police car. Not to mention that I don't think it was him splashing Wiggum that actually crashed the shit anyway, right?
No, it was them, because Wiggum was like, that's it, and like turned around to fire the thing, and so that's when they used the foam, and that's what caused it to go out of control, which again hit the fucking brakes. Like, I mean that was all crazy, wacky, whatever anyway, but
they got angry and started driving through a crowd of pedestrians like fucking Tiananmen. There was no, I mean, seriously, there was the gays. The gays group was right behind the tank. They just established that.
Well, yeah, they did almost run over the marching band. But the other thing I was going to say is, like, I'm trying to rack my brains, and I think it's like 50-50 of Homer really enjoying Bart's pranks a lot of the time, not only when he's the butt of them, essentially not liking them, but like, I really feel like Homer in this instance would have been like, oh, that was awesome. And the only way you could salvage it was what you were saying before, is about saying like, oh, well, now, you know, you're going to have to pay because otherwise we're liable or something, you know, for rebuilding the Quickie Mart. So,
but again, they made space for this Homer making Bart reperform the scene and giving him motivation and stuff. And it was just so extended and so pathetic and just
also, why did Homer have a body cam on?
I don't know.
And why don't the Springfield police?
Well, we know why they don't have body cams. They spent all the money on the tank.
Homer just had a GoPro for some reason.
Also, why did they introduce how cool this statue is, and the next scene is like driving a shit statue through town?
Oh, because
that was an established bit.
Yeah, because they
was?
Yeah, they did the video as like, your statue may vary. And
This is an artist
okay.
rendering of the concept of a statue.
But like the whole statue premise from start to finish was completely unnecessary.
Yeah, it was pretty
Yeah,
weird.
Like, I mean, it was not even a particularly good throwaway joke, but also there were plenty of other reasons they could have had the Quickie Mart get destroyed without it being so, like, they could have just been some kind of parade for something else, jumped straight into the parade. It was a much cleaner beginning. And then, they could have had Bart, trying to impress somebody and given it a little bit more
They got
human.
bored with that statue instantly, didn't they?
That's the other thing. The other integrity break on this is they're like, we'll be unveiling the new statue of Jebediah Springfield. And both Bart and Lisa are like, oh my God, we want to see that so bad. I was like, why? You don't want to see that.
These kids don't care.
They did say, didn't they? What did Holmes say? He says, like, you don't care about history or whatever. Like, yeah, but it's a reason to go outside.
Again,
Yeah,
they
that
don't want that
doesn't sound like
either.
them
No.
I mean, for the story to work, all you need to do is have Bart inadvertently destroy the Quickie Mart. There are so much ways that you could do that to circumvent this whole parade and statue thing, which I don't think any of us found funny. Like,
Could have started off with a prank right on the Quickie Mart. It burns
Exactly.
down.
I will
Like,
say, in its credit, we did start with what I thought were a pretty good sequence of jokes where they're like, has this infomercial of a dad and son looking at the Lincoln Memorial, like, this is boring. And they're like, go to the Liberty Bell, and it's like, hasn't rung since 1896. And then goes to Tomb of the Old Unknown
Who's
Soldier.
this
Like,
guy?
who's this guy?
Yeah.
And I do kind of like that riff on, like, who wants these old monuments?
I
You
did
want
like-
something new.
I did like the
Mount-
Mount Rushmore one, like
No.
not in chronological order. And I'm like, that's pretty good actually.
Yeah.
That was an uptick for me.
So that very beginning riff, I'm like, okay.
Was that the last time we all laughed in
Yes.
this episode? Yeah, okay.
I had a
Just
couple,
establishing.
but
Yeah.
we'll get to those. But first, Claire, for better or worse, what stands out to you?
I don't really know how to talk about this. Okay.
You know how to sigh about it.
Yeah.
I hope the mics are picking that up. It's a good sign there.
No, I genuinely don't know how to talk about this because, like, obviously this episode was a reaction to people going, dude, he's such a stereotype, this isn't cool. And they're like going, oh, so what if he's a stereotype? Everything's a stereotype. Look,
Yeah.
this is a stereotype of a millennial. This is a stereotype of an Italian person. We're like, yeah, there's lots of problems with your show, actually. Like, thanks for pointing that out. But, like, the other thing is they had this millennial kid who, oh, my God, I've never heard
Little
anyone
jump ship?
sound less millennial than this child.
You said
The
swipe left, Claire. What else do you want?
yeah.
The thing that stood out to me, and this is why I'm finding a hard way of describing it, is that this kid is supposed to represent the youth, the Indian youth of America today. They're younger, they're fresher, they just like want to be cool, they've got better ideas and all that sort of stuff, and they're actually very successful. But like they're having this argument in the restaurant between Apu and Jay. And Jay, like, basically goes off on him. You're such a stereotype. You're talking about India all the time. And, take a penny, lean of a penny, and, like, does the, like, Indian accent. And I'm like, the answer to Apu being played by a white man and following stereotypes is not a self-hating Indian child that is basically being like, stop talking about India so much, wait,
Be less Indian. That's not a thing to tell to the
This is-
Indian
yeah, this
person.
is it. This
That's
is
a thing
not-
to tell to the white writers and actors that are pretending.
Yeah, I feel like they just sort of, I mean, obviously they missed the point, but like, that was a really weird take from this, is that, no, if you're going to have an Indian character, make them be super American, because talking about India as an Indian character is not cool. I'm like, that's not the fucking point.
From white writer Michael Price.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I just had a thought of, like, and maybe this is maybe my own stereotype, but I'm just like, why wouldn't you just get someone like Aziz Ansari, who is, like, all about being cool and trying to be, like, with modern culture to just help write it and just do the voice as well? Because then, like, it's someone that people recognize as already as, like, someone who is already fought that stereotype in a bunch of other stuff, and he'll be able to get like, no, don't write this, please don't
There's
write
a bunch
this.
of famous like comedian writers of Indian or Indian American now. There's
Yeah, well, I will say, this episode does predate the Problem with Apu documentary.
Really?
And Jay is played by a special guest for this episode, Utkarsh Ambudkar. He's a prominent actor. He's done a bunch of stuff, none of which I have written down, I'm sorry. But, and he was interviewed for the documentary, and he said, he regretted doing this episode because the way it was pitched and the way, like, the script that he performed was, it was more that...
man, his script was really shit. Like, it was... It was such an old crank's indictment of millennials, right? He's as much a stereotype as anyone else in that character in that show.
Yeah, well, it was pitched to him, and his understanding was this was like targeted at the Simpsons and targeted at their portrayal of the character. And
they clearly make him the antagonist as well.
Yeah, what turned out was, what turned out. Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely becomes the antagonist, even though
Yeah.
for a while he's not phrased like that. But the way it concludes is the Quickie Mart burns down, Apu wins $1 million and gets to rebuild it the way he wants, and then that's the end of it. And it's
And
like,
his gambling addiction saves the day, of course.
yeah, and there's no balance there.
Yeah, and like to your point, Dan, like yes, the whole thing, instead of making him an interesting and well-rounded character, is they did just shove every piece of slang that the writers obviously didn't understand how to use themselves.
Yes.
And slang that I've literally never heard anyone even actually say.
He was the same as Bart, being all, "I caramba, eat my shorts," It's,
Yeah. But
Yeah.
it didn't even have the cleverness of like when you use modern slang wrong, and
Toad's flake, Elliot.
this was someone, I think this is roughly what it means. Yeah.
and just basically doing it to make him sound like an absolute dickhead, while it's like they've got 4 or 5 levels of joke and they can't decide how they want to undercut themselves. And so they undercut his character by making him sound like an absolute moron, but then they undercut Apu being frustrated at him being a stereotype as well by saying like he's actually running this business really, really well. And then they undercut the business by saying that without preservatives, all the healthy food goes off within 30 seconds.
Millennials. They're healthy food.
Yeah, that was my Simpsons writers, the Organic Food Understanders Inc. They know how stuff works. Young people and their needs.
How about you, BT? What stood out to you from this episode, for better or worse?
Well, just to save on time, because there's 5 of us, I'm going to combine what I'm going to change with the heart moment and what stood out to me all in one, and just say, like, for a moment, there's almost a realization when they have the whole argument that, he says, Jay says to Apu, "Are you just an Indian stereotype?" Apu says to Jay, "We're just a millennial stereotype." There'd be something there to say, yeah, things might be stereotypes, but you can have a character beneath them, because that's how Apu really kind of started, at least in my mind, that, yeah, he was an Indian stereotype, but more to that, he was a workaholic, and that was usually where most of the jokes came from.
They used to feel like people.
Yeah, and there's a stereotype aspect to this character, but they are still a character, and that's how you kind of drive home a bit more of a moment. And the fact that there's no balance between Apu and Jay in this, there's no Apu coming around to realize that Jay is running this store well and actually making profit and that kind of thing, and isn't that what a business is for? But then maybe Jay not realizing that because he doesn't have the history with the community, he doesn't have, or isn't providing for their needs, he's telling them what they want, he's not becoming that cornerstone that they're always going to rely on. There's a middle ground they suggest in dialogue that never comes about in the plot. Ultimately, Jay just becomes the bad guy, because Bart's prank turns the power off for 30 seconds, all the fresh fruit rots, and then the Quickie Mart the quick stop or whatever it is
Quick
now.
and easy now.
Quick and easy just burns down. It's like, okay, and we're done. It's like, but like you didn't learn anything from each other. It was there, the concept, but you didn't actually have that heart moment of, I've learned a lot from you, and you're not just a stereotype, you're actually a person.
Yeah. There was no point in that where I felt like any of them were characters. They felt like they were just props reading the writer's complaint
100%
lines,
caricatures, not characters.
Yeah, which again could have been a way to undermine that, oh, The Simpsons is full of stereotype. You can be like, yeah, true, we do have a lot, but there are characters here.
Yeah.
Sorry, Claire, you look like you're about to...
No. I just really want to put a pin in the arson aspect and also the attempted murder of Principal Skinner. Just let's come back to that later, because
in the wackiness,
yeah, the pranks went just really quickly from, normal childhood pranks, like I'm spraying someone with water, to, let's just kill people.
Yeah, it went from dropping a beehive on a naked Chalmers to let's roll Principal Skinner off Springfield Gorge, which is next to the school.
Dropping a beehive on naked Chalmers could very well be lethal
wasn't
as
it
well.
Quimby?
Yeah,
Quimby,
but
not
there's
Chalmers,
a bit
right?
of more
No, it's
whimsy to
Chalmers.
that than let's push a cherry picker down into a gorge.
Yeah.
Have I asked you yet? I don't think I've asked you yet. What stands out to you for better or worse?
When suddenly for no reason there's a giant cliff right next to the school, and then we're falling down off the cliff, and then
right
Roller
at the
Skate Disco Stew is there falling as well.
And that's an act break. We
And
go
that's
to
an act
commercial.
break, and then we get bored of that and we move on.
There's no resolution to that. It's
People
so
just
bizarre.
writers get bored of things mid-joke or mid-story.
Sorry, joke. I refuse to let you use that word.
Yeah, that's fair.
What
That's
was
fair.
funny about that
That's
at
fair.
all?
I believe that was the unexpected, absurd. We call that irony, don't we?
Not correctly, but
Not correctly,
sure.
no.
I got that sense as well in the scene where Homer's like asking Bart, "Oh, I need you to do one more big score," you know, and then it gets distracted with this whole Lisa talking about her imaginary friend.
Yes.
Fucking rip.
Yes,
They just
that
got
went
distracted.
nowhere.
Take your meds,
And
writers.
then we get to it with Bart doing a whole Clockwork Orange bit, but it didn't come from anything. Homer was like, hey, I need you to prank again. Oh, but I actually like not pranking anymore, Homer. Oh, no, that's fine. Don't prank anymore. Clockwork Orange. Like, wait,
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Bart
Bart
changes
doesn't
his
want
mind
to.
on a
Homer
dime.
doesn't want to. Lisa doesn't want him to. And then we just need that to happen anyway so we can reset.
So weak.
And that related to him giving Clockwork Orange to Bart as a 5-year-old to help him teach him how to tell the time. But what?
That's not how that works.
I think what annoyed me most about that bit is that they can't just do a reference anymore.
Yeah.
Yes.
It could have just
Yeah.
been, like, as bad as it was in the first place, they could have just had Bart put the one-eye makeup on.
No, yeah,
And
well,
But they
move
were like,
on.
oh, I shouldn't have bought him that Clockwork Orange. Don't say
Yeah.
that part. You don't need to explain everything.
Yeah.
For the full
Fuck.
scope of Everyone at Home, it does the camera angle on Bart and plays the Clockwork Orange music, and it holds on that for a while, and then he adds the eyelash in case you haven't got it yet, and then it stops and has Homer says, oh, this is a Clockwork Orange bit. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, so the trick is show, then tell, then tell, then show, then tell, then tell, then tell.
I'll give Bart credit. He did do a pretty good Kubrick stare in that shot. So, hey.
Good acting.
The
there.
amazing acting of Nancy Cartwright there. What stands out to me, I will say the one joke I did like and laugh at was the classy robber.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, have your spare change and a bottle of gin. And then
I just want to. Sorry, this isn't a JAC, so you can't do it. It's just he said a nice bottle of gin, and then he took what I mean.
Beefeater.
It was beef drinker, which was pretty okay,
Half-pint.
but also Beefeater is the worst. It's
Yeah.
the terrible bottom shelf gin. That is not a nice bottle of gin.
All right,
man.
this has
Hey,
been a wonderful trip into Jordan's Idle Corner. You can't tell me what to do with it.
I mean, I can, but whether you comply,
I won't.
Is, yeah.
coincidentally enough, my minimum quality of gin that it has to be is Bombay Sapphire. That's some good gin.
You mean no? Wait, no. It's fuck. If it was called Mumbai Sapphire, that would be better.
What was that joke as well? You
Back. That's what it used to be called when it was
so
British colonized.
controlled.
In British, so in the British colonies, like they called it Bombay, but in the original, when the British left, they changed all the names back to like Mumbai and stuff like that,
right.
And
that
so
is something
Apu
that-
said, I just liked it better when it was still Bombay.
which is cringe as fuck. I'm sorry, him going, "Oh, it'll always be Bombay." Like fuck off. Like no, that's what are you doing?
Yeah, and then they follow that scene with Luigi coming in, and it's like, hey, I'm a
Yeah.
stereotyper. Yeah. Not good. So, was this a particularly wacky episode of The Simpsons?
Oh, well, then Luigi's grandma comes out with the big nose and starts whacking with a wooden spoon.
Yeah. We get a giant Blinky the Three-Eyed Fish.
Oh, Blinky, I forgot.
To be fair, that might have been an effect for the ad, to be entirely fair.
They
This
did
was
I
fall
like
off a
CG'd it
fiction,
in.
fiction
yeah.
within fiction. Anyway, sorry, Claire.
No, that's fine because I didn't hate the wackiness in the ad because it was an ad and that's fine to put a bit of wackiness where wackiness would exist. My wackiness is something we have touched on already is the complete lack of structure to the map within Springfield.
Yeah.
So twice they had the Quickie Mart next to a cliff, and that's what Apu rolls off for no reason and meets Disco Stew, who's falling into a bottomless pit. I don't know what's happening there. And then they also had Springfield Gorge, literally like a block away from
A
school.
lot of cliffs in this episode.
So many cliffs. Why?
Can I add on to that as well? Is that Bart uses the brick to, instead of smashing the window, to chock the cherry picker or whatever. But then Milhouse picks it up, and does Milhouse get run over then by the cherry
Yes.
picker
It
and
rolls.
is dead?
Yes.
And then we hear no reaction from
From Skinner either.
who's up in the
Yeah.
it just
It's-
goes nowhere.
So Milhouse is dead. I
Yep.
mean, Apu should be dead because he jumped off. Stu is dead.
Yep.
Skinner is probably injured. I mean, yeah, it's all, yeah.
Yeah. And so that end scene as well where Bart destroys the Quickie Mart by cutting off the power, which, makes all the food rot in, a matter of seconds. What'd you guys think of that?
Whatever.
It's just, I don't know. Like, again, it's...
Those aren't mushrooms. That's a wheel of brie. I'm
yeah.
Sideshow Mel. I'm announcing things.
So much time spent announcing what we were already seeing, for one thing.
Yeah.
the other thing is well, the thought of like, kids like preserved food with preservatives was good enough for me. Why do
that's
you
like-
need organic food?
but
That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
A joke
yeah.
in there in the fact that, the old Quickie Mart was known for being dodgy as hell and having really over-expired stuff and Twinkies that just would never die.
Yeah.
And so there's a joke there in terms of they've gone too far far in the other direction of having stuff that was too fresh, or that the Springfieldians were maybe used to the high, had just such a tolerance for high preservative stuff that they thought the regular stuff was terrible.
There could have been this
They could have
interesting-
explained that the air in Springfield was so toxic that
Yeah.
organic
it doesn't
food
already
cannot
have.
survive here without a controlled temperature. Like, there's the thing, though, if there was so much wasted on these little side jokes that went nowhere or were completely forgotten or weren't related, they could have built up the main story and had Lisa involved a little bit more if they wanted to, because she's,
she'd love this
intelligent
thing.
and stuff. Like, she'd be store excited about an organic store, you would think. So I would be surprised that she wasn't more involved, actually.
Yeah. Well, another weird consistency is like, Homer comes in, where's my heat lamp dog? Rah, rah, rah. And he gives him some mollies, which he eats anyway, and he's like fine with. But like, surely if you're going to set up that Homer wants the Quickie Mart back as well, you have him going, yuck, this is disgusting.
Or like eating it, but then be like, nah, it's fine, but where's the grease?
Or if you made it, sort of like a what's the really like organic hippie chain in America? Not Trader Joe's or
like a
Whole Foods?
Whole Foods, like a Whole Foods thing where it's like, oh, I don't want flaxseed chew or something like that. Then like that would have been.
I want chewing tobacco.
Yeah. I was just gonna say as well, like I don't know if this is wacky as such, but like Apu has a gambling problem. Is that retconned? Like when has that ever been brought up in the past?
never
or?
been a
That
thing.
is new.
He's been in casinos on screen before, I'm pretty sure. It's never been an issue. I just had this sort of thought about, like, it's not really going to work, but you know how some countries, they're doing, like, this phasing out of tobacco through age? You've got to be over... People born before this can keep smoking. But
Is
all
that right?
Yeah. There's a couple of countries where, like, people born before 2000 can keep on smoking, but no one born after that's allowed. So over time, generation it'll like it grow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's sort of something about the greasy food, healthy food, phase it out with the older generation. I don't know, some sort of, because then you can have this generation thing with Apu and Jay and coming together, and I don't know. Just thinking out loud.
We'll get to it when we get to what will we
Out of my
change. but-
cold dead hands.
I have one more. Wait, I don't remember what section we're in, but I want to
Wackiness?
say something.
Yeah.
Okay. Bart's whole arc in this is that he's forced to stop pranking because he's frightened that he'll be sent to jail and then have to go to the dentist, and you know what they do to him in the dentist.
In the dentist.
Really weird joke there. But he stops pranking. He actually starts getting better grades. He's enjoying himself.
Everything
he's sleeping
improves.
well. And
Yep.
he's getting
He's
along
happier,
with Lisa
yeah.
and like they're bonding as well. And then as soon as Lisa's like, yeah, this is really good for you, but it's like really nice to be able to talk, and people understand me too now. And then immediately on this no pranking ban, he goes and plays a prank on Grandpa.
Yeah.
He already it's a
Instantly.
harmless prank. In fact, it's one of the few things that actually feels like a
Except
prank
to his
instead
hearing.
of, attempted murder. But like, it's not a pranking ban then. He literally just did a prank.
Yeah, with Lisa, who's like, you shouldn't prank. Like,
Yeah. I had two more quick wacky things. Apu, I guess, is the main character in the Life of Pi in the Simpsons universe now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are they saying they ate his older brother?
Or younger, the fox.
who
Whoever
knows,
the, there wasn't a fox in the
He
book.
did
but
say a
obviously-
sly older fox.
Yeah. And also, Sanjay, they're in the hospital. They're beds side by side.
Yep.
They're all like sort of taped up and got plaster casts and stuff, which actually they're gone in the next scene and everything.
Yeah.
But he just pulls out a framed photo of Jay, like out of nowhere, that was just like beside
Yep.
his bed.
Yep.
And then Apu similarly pulls out the framed photo of the Quickie Mart, which I guess is supposed to be sort of a joke. And I will give them credit, they don't point at it, that Apu, that's his pride and joy.
Oh, God. And then they do the life-size frame photo thing.
oh, that misdirect.
Such a bad joke.
With Manjuli. Yay, we gave him one more moment of happiness before. Anyway, how was the heart in this one?
It was torn from a papier-mâché-like chest.
Like a lot of mid to late Simpsons, it had a promise, or it had
had the suggestion.
it could have been something, but they fuck it. With
Yep.
like, I guess they wanted to make the joke of with Lisa and Bart saying like, "Look into my eyes. What do you see?" And it's like love, unconditional love, and like, which means I can do whatever I want. And they're like, "Yeah, haha, whatever." But like, I don't know.
It doesn't-
You could do something with that.
Lisa's not been enough
relationship.
of a part of this to really have an impact on
Yeah,
it.
Yes.
exactly. It's 2 fucking scenes. It's not enough.
That's the thing. I think the heart for me was in the first scene. That was probably the thing that had the most heart, was where she was like, it's okay. Like, I understand that this family really doesn't value achievement very well, but like, I see you.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was
cool.
actually kind of nice. And even though I made the point about the prank completely undermining Bart's entire storyline, it was still a cute moment between brother and sister, in my opinion, because they did something together. It was just nice to see them getting along and like playing together. But then, nothing. She's gone. Until the very end, where for some reason, like, they bring her back in just to make her feel bad.
Yeah, exactly. It's so insubstantial, and I mean, and undermined in its original scene as well, which I agree, was nice. And then, heart between Jamshed and Umpu coming to an understanding didn't really feel like it
didn't happen
happened.
at all.
It just feels like they rushed to the ending, and then they were like, "Oh, I guess you were right in some ways. I guess you were right in some ways." And it's like, really?
Did we establish it? No, we didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Apu's has a moment of like, look, I went for pranking and this is the karma I get, which is the thing I wanted to be gone has been destroyed and I got $1 million. Oh, karma, you bitch.
That's not karma.
Yeah.
In lieu of a lot of heart, I just remember there was one more really quite wacky bit at the very end, the fourth act, the 30-second fourth act, with the very Looney Tunes explosion of the missile reflecting, like ricocheting straight up and then coming down, and then even the Looney Tunes aspect of the sort of black explosion pattern on the ground and Wiggum on his butt with his legs splayed, like that sort of real Wile E. Coyote's explosion post. Yeah.
Then Quimby goes, "Damn it." End credits. Fucking hell. Ultimately, though, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons? Is this a show we know and love? Are these the characters we know and love?
I don't know if I even love the show anymore, Elliot. Like,
is this the show we know and tolerate?
Is this a show we podcast about? Yeah.
There's so many, like,
when does it outweigh the good?
Yeah, like it's the cost benefit analysis of the entire, like, the more they do it, the less it takes up in my heart. So, but no, in answer, no, it's not. It's not like the first 8 seasons, and it never will be again.
Oh no, season 34, they're fucking coming back, man.
Yeah, I wish they wouldn't, though.
I mean, look, when we talk about it,
dead is better.
I don't know. Like, is it as bad as the other shows?
It's not
that
the
we've seen in
worst.
this, the 20s. It's not the worst, and for. Oh no, I can't even bring myself to say it. I was going to be like, look, for our expectation level, did it, roughly do what we thought it was going to do? Yeah. I mean, I didn't really have very high expectations.
I also didn't get really angry either. I just more...
just tired, eh? I don't know if that's worse than
There
being
is that
really
question,
enraged.
Yeah.
Like, Bart was kind of Bart-ish. Like, I don't think he was not Bart. He had his pranking thing. It's just that they have to ham-fist in his catchphrases to make sure we all remember what they are, so they still buy the merchandise that's on. And Homer's never on point for me anymore. Homer's the one that they really have, like, they just can't seem to get right at all. Lisa's fine. Marge didn't appear, neither did Maggie, which is good. It was already too busy.
Marge tried to make sure the marching band had juice boxes.
Oh, that
was
lovely.
her contribution.
That's lovely.
Oh, yeah, Julie
Thanks,
Kavner, here's
Marge.
your one fucking line for the episode.
Yeah.
With Apu as well.
Apu
We
did
don't
not
get
feel
that
right.
sense of the old, workaholic character. Like the
Yeah, they
idea
haven't
that
for
he
a
was
long time.
like a gambling addict that was holding the fort is just
Like,
wrong.
That
Like,
was kind of
Yes.
what I wanted
Slowly
them to
selling
see.
his shares in his business. That's
Yeah.
his pride. And
It's what I wanted to see them do around the time of, the problem with Apu, of kind of come out and say, look, it's been 30 years. It's kind of maybe late to change the actor, but how about from now on, we focus on solely jokes about Apu are him as a workaholic and him as a father of 8. And not anything about his race or religion.
Yes.
Because that's kind of the,
How
the compromise.
fucking easy would that be?
Yeah, because those used to be what Apu was known for, it being someone who's so dedicated to his, stupid dead-end job that it was comedy.
and taking advantage of the people that are addicted to, high-fat, high-sugar
Think
food
about
and gambling.
the time that he worked, was it 80 hours straight and thought he was a hummingbird. Just...
I think that's the thing.
He's got so much pride in that quickie
worse. It's worse that they remove him from the show entirely because they're admitting, like, yes, they admitted that there was a problem with Apu, but 2, they're like, well, we're not going to solve the problem. We're just going to say, like, well, it's too hard.
Yeah.
We don't know how to address this. Like, there's been heaps of people telling you how you could address this. People from within the Indian American community being like,
some
hey,
of those people have
like,
been very handsome podcasters.
and like, but also like people saying like, this is what representation would look like for us. Why don't you do it like this? And they're just not doing it, and it's lazy and shit.
The weird thing is they have with a lot of their characters now. They've replaced Carl, Lou the Cop, Dr. Hibbert, and Bumblebee Man. You know, they haven't brought back Apu, is so weird. Maybe it is because it's such a loaded subject for them now that they don't want to
Feels
touch
like
it
there's
with
no right answer.
Yeah, but honestly, I think I should bring in Hari Kondabolu, who did the Problem with Apu documentary. Honestly, bring that full circle moment.
It feels to me when they ditch the character entirely. I mean, how many other reoccurring Indian characters that aren't related to Apu are there? So they're just like, oh, but it's only funny if we can actually make fun of Indians. Like, I don't want to do it anymore this way. And
they're really like
so there's nothing.
digging themselves in the mud, aren't they?
Yeah, they've just replaced very bad representation with absolutely nothing, and they haven't tried to fix that gap at all.
That's the thing. Him being a workaholic was always funnier. The whole hummingbird bit, that's funny and iconic, and it's got nothing to do with his race.
Yeah.
Or even just like because that like 30-second skit in the 23 short stories bit where he has like 5 minutes off and he has this like crazy party scene or whatever.
Funny.
Yeah.
Like that shows the character, and like that is not a stereotype, that character. And that's the side you could show. He's just like, this is the type of person he is. He just also happens to be Indian as well. Like, why can't you do that?
But yes or no, would you watch this episode again?
For $1 million, I will.
Sign up to the Patreon $1 million tier where we'll watch this episode again.
No, that's just for me. You get your own $1 million.
Not to undercut Jordan, but I'll do it for 500,000.
Fuck, I'll do it for $4.99.
All right, I'll do it. You okay, dude? That looked.
I'm just gonna let this bidding war play out until
This funny bone hit was funnier than the whole episode.
I do not think I would watch this again, guys. This really, I almost cried watching this. It really bummed me out for some reason.
No.
Just the despair.
You felt
of,
that much? Wow.
Yeah,
you know,
What's it like to feel things, Tony?
yeah. Is it that the Simpsons have worn us down? Like, because I feel like we're like, oh man, this is kind of par for the course, and this
I
is
think
like,
we were expecting a bit worse in terms of representation and stuff. We've kind of come to expect that.
It's still pretty bad though.
I think I've sort of mythologized some of the bad episodes a lot as well, in terms of like, oh, they were so bad. But I think if I watched them again, there would be like the bits that made me angry, and then the rest of the 20 minutes would just be like a blank
you know what
stare.
the very next episode is? It's so fucking bad. You would not believe.
Yeah, we noticed as well when we're scrolling through Disney Plus, this episode is nestled between the story where Frink gets all romantic and he becomes the stud of Springfield, and then the one where Bart, Lisa, and Maggie go through early puberty.
You can say the title from memory still, can't you? Because you've said it so often.
Not the Frink one.
I'm sure you could. I reckon it's in there.
But
it's
I know
in that noggin, Elliot.
Teenage Mutant Milk caused hurdles. Anyway, this is one of these reviews where like the what would you change question kind of got peppered throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
So we'll just do lightning round really quickly. Claire, starting with you, what would you like to change?
The number of the episode that we watched.
Hey-oh.
Oh fuck. Now I'm stuck. Look,
I'm ashamed.
the one thing I would like to change is to address that why one character has grown up so much when everybody else has stayed the same age.
Yeah, Jumpshed like rocketed ahead like 18 years or something.
Well, they said he went to university somewhere, so he left the Springfield time bubble.
Ah, there we go.
Okay, actually, I have an actual thing to change. Going back to Apu's concept as like his main defining feature is he's a complete workaholic. That could have been a great reason why he found it hard to like leave the Quickie Mart behind. Like, okay, well, what am I going to do now if
or
I'm
even
not
to
working?
do less if he's
or
not
to
in
do
charge.
less. Exactly. If he's not in charge, he's like, no, don't worry, uncle. Like, I'll take over. I've already done that. Like, just
have
relax.
his line be, I'm only working 45 hours a week. What the fuck is this?
Yeah, exactly. And that would have given him not just like the selfish, I hate millennials and I hate, organic produce.
Now they've got automated checkout
It's like-
aisles. There's nothing for me to do.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that would be that would be topical in a much more interesting way, because there is a whole debate going on about the ethics of having self-serve checkouts and having
you're cutting
AI and
someone's
having
job.
like all these, jobs taken away from people. Like, they could have gone down that route. Not talked about the fact that it's basically a younger Indian guy being like, stop being so fucking Indian. We're in America now, bro. And like, him, arguing, well, if I'm a stereotype, then you're a stereotype. Like, that's such a tired argument, Simpsons writers. Just like, you fucked up, admit it, move on, and do something different. So that's my thing. I think we would have just changed the angle, cut out the whole robot backstory, and just streamlined the Bart prank thing to be less horrifying.
Jordan.
I just had a thought then about, one, I don't like that Apu has a gambling addiction. So what I thought is, they do get injured in the initial smash, but they're very injured and they are basically bedridden for like 2 months. In that time, the Quickie Mart is rebuilt. Jay is the only one that is capable of like running the place. So he's like, well, look, while I'm here, I'm going to like make some changes that I've been thinking about in the first place. And like, it sort of works, but then like Apu can come back and be sort of like, oh man, I miss like the way things were.
Scum bucket and fly.
And don't make it this like antagonistic between the generations thing. Make it a sort of like, oh man, you've changed all this stuff. And like, yeah, you can still have like, oh, this isn't working as well. And you can still come to a resolution, but just like, the Apu gambling thing seems well out of place, and it doesn't seem. I don't think it fits with his character. And I think then, you make it so that it's more cooperative rather than this. They're at each other's throats and doing stereotype fight.
And they lose, and him losing ownership of the business, which I didn't feel like he was an owner anyway. I felt like he was an employee.
It's one of those ones where this is the new version of it because technically the Quickie Mart Corporation owns the Quickie Mart. He's an employee.
Yeah, he's
but
a
for the purposes of this, it's like there's an ownership because you need.
He never seems like an owner. Like because
they replace him at one point with like James Woods, right? So like they have the power to do that. So he's not like, this is mine and I can do whatever I want with it.
What about you, Shaq?
I want to cut out the whole statue, the whole festival. We don't need this weird B story start to try and get Bart sabotaging the fire truck in order to send the thing and do the stuff, and then we're at the Quickie Mart. Rubbish.
Bart pranks the Quickie Mart, it breaks down.
Bart pranks the Quickie Mart, breaks down. I assume it's probably going to be a well-meaning, like I'd prefer it to be a little prank, less than a life-threatening sort of prank as well. But I really don't like his return to crime either. I feel like I really liked that scene where him and Lisa bonded, and then they didn't go anywhere with that one. Hang on, I'm going to go slow here because I had it on my head, but then 3 other ideas went past,
you want time to collate?
Yes,
I'm
you go.
Right, I'm just going to kind of bounce off of what I was saying before and what Jordan was saying, and ultimately have it start as like, bickering about generations, but what they're really arguing about is Apu doesn't like change, and Jay doesn't want to inherit this whole problem of the same thing over again. They're just, different people, but have middle ground where there is something to be learned from one another, and then they all drink lemonade, and that because at least that's the fact that Jay is ultimately an antagonist in this one doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And like my point is quick as well. Like I think like the pieces are there. Bart pulls a prank. Homer's the only one that knows about it, puts a ban on it. Quickie Mart gets destroyed. And then they find out, now that it's rebranded as more a healthy thing, they're missing out on like their little naughty pleasures and things like that. It's fucking getting a cheeseburger from Macca's on the way home. Homer getting his heat lamp.
There's nowhere for teens to go at 2 a.m. to buy shiny things.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Yeah, Jimbo's like, can't smoke a bong with a capsicum. I don't know. Bell pepper, the Americans will call it. Anyway, that buy you enough
Elliot,
time.
I reckon you're ingenious enough to be able to hook one up with a capsicum.
Only green, no reds. They don't work.
Wasn't really good, man. I sort of wanted to explore the, him getting good at grades, and that sort of leads us towards the health food and stuff more. And so he sort of gets involved there, and then then things can go wrong and it burns down. Not by he's trying to prank, but he's driven back to. Oh no, and then he's desperately trying not to let the place burn down, but it burns down, and then all the crowd outside start laughing, even though Jay's in tears, and he's like, "Wow, everyone loves me. Yeah, it was totally my fault. I'm a pranker again. Peace out, bitches."
Yeah.
He's like good guy, but he's tainted by the applause of his.
Oh.
I don't know. There's something
because he's not getting any attention. From like actually working hard.
Yeah.
Like he's
No, that's good.
Like, we had a bit of a brief thing to show that he was getting awards and stuff.
And
it
starts with Lisa. It starts with Lisa saying, you're not going to get any attention for being smart.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so he's there trying to do the right thing, and then they think he's doing the wrong thing, and they shower all this attention upon him.
I mean, that's a whole other story, like, because, he's most improved, so you get that initial rush of, oh, well done. But, like, then he could move into Lisa's area, which is like, you're the smarty pants, you know everything. Can you just sit down and let somebody else talk? And like, suddenly he's seeing this bad side of things where, nobody's really likes it when I'm smart. Nobody wants to hang out with me. I'm making my friends feel stupid. Like when Homer feels really isolated, when he gets 110 IQ, like.
Yeah, and Milhouse probably has a role in this as well. That he's not the one to lead the charge on the prank. He's just happy to assist, and now he's like losing his place and purpose in life.
But I think with a lot of these ideas as well, the heart could easily be brought in with like bring in the generational stuff, but talk about it more as like, I'm feeling like I'm obsolete.
Yeah.
And, the younger generation is like, I'm trying to just make improvements. Like, this is actually better for everyone. Like, this is really cool. I didn't mean to make you feel useless. And like, that could have been a really lovely heart moment between, the nephew and the uncle saying like, okay, like where's the middle ground? Like I see what you're saying. And then they could have had the new improved Quickie Mart with an organic food section at the back, that like, this is all thanks to my nephew we've got this in. They'd never have to mention it again. It's fine because we're small enough. Yeah. But like, it would have been a nice resolution.
I feel I have the masterstroke for this one. So Homer goes to Bart, hey, can you do this prank to get the Quickie Mart back? Bart's like, no, I'm out of that life. Then Milhouse is like, oh, I'm the new prankster in town. You want me to do it? But Milhouse doesn't have the wealth of experience of pranking that Bart does, therefore mirroring the same story we've got in the A story where you've got, the older generation who know what they're doing but have lost that kind of current edge versus the current who are more in tune with what people want but don't have the experience to kind of guide that. And there's a parallel. Milhouse goes to sabotage the Quickie Mart. Something goes wrong. It gets burned down. Everyone thinks it was Bart, and then he gets that high again. They all drink lemonade at the end.
Bart breaks in to save Milhouse while the thing's burning down.
And then he gets that attention we were talking about.
And they assume that he's the pranker and that he burned the place down.
Yeah, and then he gets that attention that he's been missing with his good grades, and is like, well, I'd rather have attention than have nothing. And I was back, baby. There's your Clockwork Orange reference, mic drop.
Yeah. And now it's time for our final notes.
Now it's time for our final notes. We're kind of running along here.
Yes, we are. God, remember doing 3 episodes in one day? Holy
Elliot's
fuck.
final notes.
I feel like we just sort of go around the circle. Claire, have you got a final notes?
No.
Jordan.
All right, real quick. All right, one, the police are in their Homeland Security provided tank.
Yep.
And I hate the joke of, gays in wonder at our monstrous whatever. And then they have the parade of gays in wonder behind. And I'm like, what is this parade for? Because it's the float, it's the police, the fire department, the gays, a marching band. I don't get what it sucks. Cut the joke.
Yes.
A line I did like of when the fire start doing all the water fountains and stuff, and Wiggum sort of goes, oh, Grand Theft Thunder back there.
Yeah. That wasn't bad.
That wasn't no bad.
I will point out with the fire, like, all the volunteer firefighters were from that Homer the Heretic episode.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. Which also Chief Wiggum was a part of. It's interesting. I guess because they're doing the parade.
I don't know, chopping stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
That sort of good line was immediately undercut by, he calls them pole sliders, which feels like a slur. And I don't like that.
Does.
Yeah. Just no one else is going to get it. There's a golf joke in there where Sanjay is now watching golf at home and someone misses a putt and he goes, oh, Bubba Watson, you're no Vijay Singh. And I'm like, hey, look, Vijay Singh, yes, he won 3 majors. Bubba Watson has also won 2 majors. There's no need to compare
your
Jordan? Achievements.
Elliot, feel free to cut all this.
I'm just saying that I don't like this idea of like, oh, like this person's no good because they haven't done as much as the person I like. So you don't need to denigrate other people's achievements, all right, Sanjay? Anyway.
I'm sorry, can you just cut this in as like a blooper reel, except it's the start of his golf-related rant, then there's like 10 hours later, and he's like still going,
yeah, because that joke hasn't been done a million times. Ow! Okay, Jay at one point goes, go back to the Temple of Doom, Dr. Jones. I'm like, yeah, but Dr. Jones wasn't the Indian guy in the Temple of Doom. Why are you doing
that whole extended thing? I was on set for 2 weeks, and all you can see is my hand. Thank you, Spielberg.
Fucking stupid. Anyway.
They got distracted.
Yeah.
There's a bit in the bar where they're talking about having kids. And then anyway, they all cheers to kids. And I'm like, there's only 2 out of there's Carl, there's Lenny, there's Barney, there's Mo, all in the bar. And I'm like,
none of them have
2/3 of you do not have kids. Why are you cheersing? There's nothing for you to cheers.
Exactly.
At the end, there's the one last ticket remaining, and he gives him $2 for it or whatever, and then he reaches for the penny, and Jay's like, don't do it, Uncle. I'm like, he already accepted his money for the ticket. He's already bought it, all right?
Yeah.
Fuck up.
What has he got to lose? Like, yeah.
And lastly, just a little background joke that I sort of liked was the snacks in the background of the new Quickie Mart was N and N's, which was nice, and circus quality peanuts. I'm like, yeah, good.
Circus quality.
Did you have any other notes, Danny?
Oh, I did like that the firemen had a awesome water party mixtape that was fun.
Show off firefighters able to afford the playing rights for Simply the Best by Tina Turner.
Yep.
R.I.P. to a legend.
The classics.
BT?
Yep, got a couple. There's a bit where Homer bans Bart from pranking. He's like, but if I don't do these pranks soon, they'll become felonies when I'm older. It's like, that was
that's
right.
not bad.
Yeah.
But when they're in the Apu and his brother in the hospital, and Sanjay's all like, I don't want to go back to the Quickie Mart, and Apu's like, transfer this man to the mental ward. And the nurse is like, all right. Like it's that easy. Yep. And Apu's talking about his vest, and he's like, there's a bullet hole for every time I've been shot. It's my lucky vest.
That was my other
So,
note.
okay, that's pretty good.
No, because he never wears that fucking vest when he gets shot.
It's
He's
underneath.
It's a Homer's Watch situation, yeah.
He wears the green thing.
That's true.
And the
vest
green thing
underneath.
had his orange thing underneath as well. His orange shirt or whatever that he always wears.
Yeah, it's Homer's watch. It's there when you need it to be.
All right.
My final notes, before the tank destroys the place up, who's like, I'm going to finally look in one of these play dudes. And, an interview with Jim Gaffigan. Yeah.
Yeah, because as we recall, like, he fucks. Like, he goes to parties and he
Apu
fucks.
fucks.
Apu fucks. So, like, why would this be something he's excited about?
Those
It's
chocolates
pointless.
didn't come from a
Pointless.
stalk. Oh,
Well,
no.
it's the inconsistency again, because, he wouldn't mess with his own merchandise. I get the joke from that. But then, he's screwing with all his scratches, which, new element that doesn't feel in character. That's essentially all my notes. It's time to rank this thing on the Simpsons Index. We rank using a 6-point scale, which starts down the bottom at failure. Maybe if the episode is just, you give it a participant. But for the positive rankings, you got okay bronze, good silver, excellent gold, but for the best of the very best, the episodes which the Simpsons could not exist without, you give cubic zirconia. I'm going to go first. Let me show you how it's done. I think I'm going to fail this one. There's a lot, like we were saying, maybe we're sort of too desensitized, and this one sort of felt like more flat to me. But like, I feel like this is one where it tries to like feel like it making a very social relevant point and just misses the mark so badly. Like, about to use the adjective hilariously badly, but it's not even hilarious. It's like that was like 22 very laughless minutes. Even the jokes we liked, like you got to admit, none of us had more than a 4.
God no.
Claire.
Yeah, look, I think I'll also fail it because for me, failure isn't put me into a blinding rage. It's just, I would never go back and watch this. I just wouldn't. There is nothing here that redeems it as a storyline, and it really just undermines the characters that were already struggling, like Apu, even more. So, yeah.
Jordan.
Can you come back to me for 2 seconds?
Danny.
I'm failing this one. Watching this was a real struggle for me, just sort of in terms of my emotional and mental health. I knew I was nearly in tears by the end. It was not my favorite 20 minutes spent. And I feel like this was offensive to everyone involved except the writers. And that's not what good or even bad writing should be about.
Its guest star would later decry this episode and regret his performance.
Yeah.
BT.
Participant, I don't care.
Jesus.
Fair enough.
George.
Yeah, I'm skirting that line. No, you're right. I think it is failure. I think there's a lot of the integrity and the sort of the characteristics of each of the players feels out of place and just like retconned or wrong. And kind of like Elliot, was it like riding a bike, explaining the 6-point rating system? Because like you haven't done it for so long, but you just like you flew through that like so
he's still
smooth
done
like
that
butter.
every episode.
I still do
okay,
it, but
right.
like I fly more through the positive rankings these days because we rarely need them. All right, well, that'll equal a shiny failure. Only the second episode from season 23 to get a shiny failure. It'll be joining the 10% solution, which was when Krusty had that manager that was played by Joan Rivers. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Coincidentally, the next episode we have to do on Except When He's Not.
Nice.
So, you'll be able to see that.
Subscribe to Patreon now.
Patreon.com/SideQuestStudios. Yep. All right, let's move on. Continuing on with our Apu trilogy, we're going all the way back to season 11 with an episode that was alluded to before. We're going to go watch 8 Misbehavin. We'll be back.
You're going to use your illusions.
Even before you lose them.
Welcome to the podcast. We got chats and stuff.
Different album.
Damn it. And we are back, and we just watched a Teens Era episode. This was Season 11, Episode 7, 8, Misbehavin. First released in November of...
Why is it episode 7?
I know, just one more.
Right.
Someone's like, I begged you to make it me episode 8. I begged you.
First released in November of 1999. It was directed by Stephen Dean Moore, written by Matt Selman. In this episode, it's not a classic one, but people should know it. This is the Apu and Manjula give birth to the octuplets episode. Hey, y'all, what do we think?
It's nice.
The Baron kicks ass.
Yeah.
Geet is also your favorite?
Actually, I do really think that this episode, whilst still racist, is actually also funny. Not the racist parts, but the rest of it.
Yeah, I find it overall enjoyable.
Yes.
Like, it definitely leans towards funny more than it leans towards cringe or bizarre, although it does have those moments where I'm just like, I don't know where they're going with this, or maybe they needed to rework that joke. But, a good, I would say, 80% of this episode is very fun, and it makes up for the 20% that's not.
I mean, I think, structurally the worst thing you can say about this one is the ending has a real, we didn't know how else to do with this one.
Yeah.
Whoops, we got stuck.
But that's the thing. By this point, you're having a good enough time, you're willing to forgive it. Or at least I was.
Yeah.
I think so.
It is it rushes to its finish as well, which is kind of the disappointing thing. Like, I feel like a zoo heist should have been way more fun than that was.
Yeah.
I know, we got to see some animals behaving differently at night, and that was fun.
Look, my only thing that I kind of want to state before we go any further in this is that this episode really revolves around the concept of, they can't afford their kids, so they are willing to sell them, essentially, for help to a zoo, right? The premise in the contextual episode itself, it's funny and they do it well and, everything. However, human people in zoos was a real thing.
No, I was about to say.
And it was a really, really, really bad thing and horrible thing. And it's a little concerning as well that, as we said, earlier, there's very few brown people on this show, and it happened to be their family that gets put in the zoo for a largely white audience to
gather around and look at.
So, again, if you just look at it like the episode as contained within itself, mostly removed from the context of actual history,
in a vacuum,
it's very funny and good, but with that underlying knowledge behind it, that's the part where I'm like, I don't actually know how I'm going to rate this at the end, because I had fun, I enjoyed it, I laughed at a lot of the jokes, but then what do you do with something like this? So I thought, put that up front.
I was going to say,
it's about a real fucking concept.
I did look at the historical context. It was the Danone quintuplets that literally got put into a zoo. So there were 5 identical twins.
But they weren't the only people. There were like the pygmy people.
And I mean, like, in terms of
actual children that were
like who were born at the same time,
what this episode is directly referencing. But surely they would have known about the whole human zoo things going into it.
And then it also kind of leans into the concept of freak shows, which very, very.
I'd like to point out
as well.
that Apu's character arc was coming to the realization that putting humans in zoos is bad.
Yeah. Well, more also the framework that gets
Good job,
them.
Apu.
The thing that gets them to putting them in the zoos, though, is just pure desperation, where they're exhausted and they don't know how they can look after 8 children. A concept that is horrifying.
Well, the thing is, it's not about Apu. Sorry, but it's not about Apu being the bad guy here. It's about the context of the universe, which is taking advantage of people really struggling in a time where, obviously it's America, it's low health care, support.
This
and
is
things
really
like
a
that
poverty
there.
issue.
It's a poverty issue.
But
It's
they also had Apu as the one coming to the realization, oh no, human zoos is a bad idea. Not him telling the white guy that human zoos is a bad idea.
I don't think he had said that human zoos is a bad idea. He was like, okay, we will get basically all our supplies and furnishing and living paid for, and it's like, okay, like, people can look into the room, that's fine. He didn't realize they were getting taken away and then put in a fucking stage show. That's the bit where he's like, no, I didn't agree to this fucking sucks. I didn't read the contract because I'm fucking tired. That wasn't the point. It was the point that he's like, no, this is exploitative now. Like, yes, it was sort of like, we're giving a little bit of
compromise, and now it's exploitative.
Like, I think one of the better, the more, I don't know, not better, but one take you can have on this episode that it's kind of a bit like about the fickle nature of media as well, that 8 babies is impressive, but whoa, these guys had 9. Fuck these people, let's pull our sponsorships and stuff. Like, that bit was all a bit rushed. I don't know that the people who delivered
one
the stuff,
joke almost, you know, but it was a good, it is a good theme there to kind of tie with the Like, it really should have been
they were-
a financial, like an economic poverty thing.
There's only so much time you've got, but they were definitely going with the, it's a big what's the word I want to media attraction even beforehand because they've got would you say you have a love-hate relationship?
Yeah.
No, we need you to say it for the soundbite.
I don't get the punchline. What's a love-hate relationship?
Like
It's
love
like
hate.
love-hate relationship. It's like how we all feel about you.
Oh. That's not funny.
And in this group, we're
No,
on
I mean,
cloud
that's funny.
5.
5 comes
So
great
we're a
after
real
4.
party of 5 in this room.
Slam dunk to funk.
Furious 5. Fantastic 5.
Okay, maybe we shouldn't write a Simpsons episode.
Otherwise, we're going to start bickering and then it'll be 5 for fighting,
Oh God.
Get the fuck out.
The other thing. The other thing, so I'm instantly starting to get a little concerned because they also super glossed over. Basically, everyone was drugging Manjula. Like, yes, she had wanted to take like IVF drugs, like fertility drugs, but like half the Simpsons family or more, except for Lisa, I think, was the only one that wasn't drugging her, and her husband was also drugging her. Like, he didn't say, I was also taking fertility drugs without telling you. He was saying, I was also slipping fertility drugs to you. What the fuck?
How creepy. How
That's
fucking
actually really
Bill
bad.
Cosby is
Like,
that shit?
Jesus Christ.
Well,
There's so many Simpsons plots which get resolved with drugging a person. Like, we watched that Brawl in the Family with the Vegas wife one, and it's like, they were just, like, in the teens era especially, I feel like they were all about, and we'll drug a person and the plot's resolved.
Because I was going to say, like, they lessened the impact by saying, I put it in your morning Slurpee. Because, get it, they work at the Quickie Mart. But yeah, it did. Did I see that right? Did Marge be doing it as well?
Yeah.
What the hell,
Marge
Marge? I expected better of you. The other two I get, but you?
Yeah, it is one of these also things is like, why is the Simpsons family involved as well? And like, you mentioned, why is Marge in the ER? She's not allowed to be in
She
there.
was in the operating room.
Yeah.
Well,
Why-
because she's
before
the other
Apu
adult
was.
female, so she's allowed to be in there with women's business.
Oh yeah, she's the only woman in
Women's
Springfield. I
business
forgot.
rule on
I
TV
forgot.
is that all the women get to go and be looking at the birth because The other thing is, what the fuck is Bart doing? Firstly, with fertility. Wait, this is ringing a bell? Not for an episode I've been on, but wasn't Bart giving fertility drugs or involved in?
He replaced Edna's birth control pills with Tic Tacs.
That's right. Well, he's obviously he couldn't have taken them and used them for something else. But like,
Look,
we
know.
Why is he so up in people's sex life?
We know, like, canonically, Bart can get people pregnant with voodoo. So
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
He doesn't even
At least
need
he's not
fertility
drugging
drugs.
people there. Just spiritually drugging them. Let's hook into the questionnaire. Claire, for better or worse, what stands out to you from this one?
Shit, I'm sorry. I think I jumped the gun and told you about all of
Chambered
them.
if you want.
Yeah, somebody else take over and I'll go next.
You said chambered?
Yes.
You are chambered.
Elliot, you know me for 2 things on this podcast. One is an undying love of Meryl Streep. The other is an undying insistence on the importance of forklift safety. Now, in this episode, we see a forklift operating...
BT's forklift corner.
Please don't interrupt me. So, in this episode, we see a forklift operating in a residential apartment. That floor is not weighted, does not have the support for what is 2 tons of weight on usually.
Absolutely correct.
Please, what did I just say about interruptions? Look, the driver has no vest. There are no lights. He's not wearing a seatbelt. There's no reverse siren. This is like a direct fail and an absolute... You fire that driver immediately and you find that company and you find them hard. I'm just sick of this shit.
So, aside from the episode ranking, which we'll get to later, how is the forklift rating on this?
Awful. Complete fail.
This is going to be your example of what not to do when you're doing your forklift
This
seminars?
is don't do what Donnie don't does. And just every violation. Short of driving with the tines up, that's the only thing he didn't do wrong.
Speaking
Despicable.
of Donnie don't, Danny, what stands out to you?
For better or worse, I think for a decade or more, I can still close my eyes and see Apu's hand going up her cheerleader skirt and like... I don't know why it's such a graphic shot.
You little
My
perv.
God.
Just like Homer.
It's such a perfect shot. It could have been out
it's
of
framed
like a
beautifully.
60s porno.
Well, that was what they were going for. Similarly, I have eternally in my brain the Apu line of, I can't believe you don't shut up.
Oh, absolutely.
I was just thinking in that scene, though, that like it could have been 60s porno, but I also thought it's like that's the start of a lot of bad 80s horror. So I sort of
Absolutely.
expected
Yeah,
Homer
yeah,
to
yeah.
come
And
back
then-
with a mask and a knife
And then
or
Homer's
something.
head does come up over the car thing.
Yeah.
Apu, do you want to check out my new chainsaw hockey bus?
That's the first scene of Zodiac, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a nice scene though. I like that. Yeah, Homer's like plot holes and errors and everything like that, and then he's doing the director thing.
Oh
Yeah.
man, him mouthing along to the script with his hands like so eager to see them say it.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Did you have to cut the roof off my car?
I'm dumb. Can someone explain the joke? Because obviously it was like I was. What did he say? Because they're going. The reason why they do it. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
But
going to
basically it
Ivy
says-
League State, and then
Yeah,
it's like
that's right.
getting shipped to Vietnam.
He's going to Vietnam, and he says like, will you still think of me when you're on your dinosaur bone digging or whatever? I'm like, okay, wait, is the joke that he's going to Vietnam to dig up dinosaur bones, or
That's the
that
joke.
it's a third separate
It's
thing?
a third thing.
continuity
Like,
error. Okay, all
Homer's
right, I
paying
just
no
wanna make sure.
attention.
Yeah, Homer's not good at writing.
Homer is the continuity error.
Yeah, exactly. But what does stand out to you from this episode, Jordan? Have you got anal corners?
I might do later on, but I was going to say,
We'll
I
get
think
there.
if you ever write a memoir of your experience of this podcast, you
Oh,
should
and I
call
will.
it For Better or Worse, the Elliot Jay O'Neill story.
How I reviewed fucking 20,000 episodes of a cartoon
Yeah.
show and maintained my sanity, sort of.
So the thing that stood out to me is that the whole conceit of the episode is just so out of date because when was this? This must have been released in like the 2099.
November of 1999, just scraping in before the new millennium.
Even in 99, there are OBGYNs. There are prenatal classes. There are sonograms. There are things that
You
would
could
have
find out
told
there were
them
8 of them.
there were more than one baby in this lady. So, like, there is no
Oh
way.
my god, when
that
her
the
skin was an enormous balloon full of rippling kicks.
Okay, gross.
He
But
ain't
also,
wrong, though.
But accurate. That's what it's like, people. It's disgusting.
The human body is awful. Please get rid of yours.
yeah. But yeah, basically, it's that the whole time I was thinking, like, the episode is funny for a lot of it, but it was just itching the back of my brain that like this should never have happened. They should have like, especially because they both feel like two people that would have been prepared if there was this situation has arisen. So the fact that like it was a complete surprise, the only way they could have gotten around it, I think, is that they're both, I guess, workaholics, like sort of what we talked about in the previous episode, and that they just didn't have time to attend any of the classes or go to any of the appointments, and it's just like, we'll just wing it, we'll just figure it out. It's a baby. How hard can it be?
Yeah.
But yeah, that part was just like, that sort of stuck in my craw, I guess. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, look, I mean, the plot inconsistencies in this episode, while not as bad as Homer's little, sex scene, like, they do exist in this one, certainly in that. Like, you hear stories of surprise pregnancy, surprise twins, and whatever, but yeah 8 seems to be, again,
Quite a lot.
lighter limit.
I don't mind them overlooking it, though, because it's very much in keeping with so many, I don't want to say surprise pregnancy because that's like a whole different thing, but like surprise multiple birth tropes from sitcoms.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was a reference in and of itself to being like, haha, guess what? You're having multiple kids. Because that was used so often in 90s sitcoms. So
it
like,
is 25 years ago. Maybe sonograms weren't as good as they used to be.
well,
There's
also,
definitely at least one in there. That's all we can tell you.
Oh, no, I think it's a baby.
yeah. So I mean, it's a stupid plot, but I also feel like it's in keeping with a stupid plot that was just it was always played out. So it's a reference to the bad joke of every other show.
And yeah, a sitcom trope that would get used a lot more when fucking, what's her name, the Octomum came along as well. And this was referencing quintuplets? Yeah.
Yes.
Sextuplets less one.
Ah. That'd be our band name.
Yes.
The 5 of us. Yeah, we're all in for this? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barbershot, sextet minus
I mean,
1.
it's a sexolettes minus 1.
Oh, nice.
Sex tits.
And what stands out to me, Danny, you pointed to this out when we were watching this. Yeah, the intro starts out with a bunch of IKEA jokes. They're in, it's called Store, but the O has a line through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, like, is this racist Swedish jokes?
So racist. They're just laughing at how silly Swedish words
but
sound.
I
But
have to
everyone
give
hates
them.
the Poople kids.
Look, I'm sorry. I have
Love
to
the
give them.
Pooply Kids
I
line.
have to give them credit because they obviously spent time figuring out how the vowels were supposed to be pronounced. Like each of those ones with the lines through them and the umlauts and stuff, they were like, okay, we actually gonna, and it was true to form. I'm like, actually, you know what?
That's about.
Later Simpsons wouldn't give a shit, but early Simpsons they did. So credit to them for that.
You're right.
So that's how you'd say that I think it was an O with a line through it in Pooply as well. So that's more of
That
a...
was Umlaut.
That is more
was
about-
That was
Umlaut.
it. And then the other one, the first one was like,
Troop, I believe.
Lisa pronounced it slightly different, and it was like, you know what? Credit where credit's due.
This
They
is
did do
about
the
the
research.
Phonetic alphabet, not about Swedish particularly.
Yeah.
But they were still laughing about how silly, and I know that I've gone to IKEA and laughed at how
Yeah,
silly
exactly.
some of the words are.
Don't
so
get all
like,
high and mighty
I know,
about that.
I get it, but that's not a cool thing to put in your show anyway.
No, but I thought it was like a bit extra beat because I liked the, spelling food at the cafe F-U with a line
Yeah.
above
Yeah.
D. But then Homer's just like, give me some booty dooties and some moonamoo and don't skip on the doodle munch,
Right?
Look, you could get away with it by saying they're making fun of IKEA, not making fun of the Swedish.
Then they had Lego, and that's not from Sweden, that's from Denmark, I'm pretty sure.
Well, the thing that I did like about the IKEA part, though, was like it allowed for a lot of little Marge jokes
Yeah.
in there, and that was really nice to like see a little bit of original Marge, where she's so like interested in everything, but also she is the most bland person. Like a green table, I'd never have thought of that in my wildest dreams.
Oh my
Or even
god.
when she's like, why don't you get a pen holder that doesn't
Overshadow the
pen?
pencils. Yeah.
Again, her just being so out of touch with, oh, God, no, you wouldn't want to be one of the Pooply kids.
I just think they're neat.
Yeah.
And I do like later when Pooh offers them a child, and she's like, like no.
As a token of, my apology. Yeah, please take this.
Or
That's the other
Insomniac.
riff I love in this one is the whole banana bread thing.
Oh,
Stellar.
He's like, I'm
so
sorry, we've
good.
just not slept a banana bread.
All right, I think that's everyone. Wackiness. Was this a particularly wacky episode of The Simpsons?
Alan Wrench in the
Yep,
beginning.
while we're in the
They
Swedish store.
found me inside a meteor. I need tungsten to live. Tungsten.
I
That
like
just
that.
terrorizes-
Oh, no,
Though.
me too.
Then it just terrorizes Bart and, maintains face in front of Marge and helpful, and yeah.
Well, 'cause
also-
it gives it just enough that maybe it is a guy in a suit who's just messing with him.
Well, because
Yeah.
that's the thing, right? Also, what is Bart afraid of? Because, I get it. It's like, oh, tungsten, do I have tungsten? You know that, tungsten is pretty rare earth metal, I think, and it's, it's very good. It's very strong at what it does, but, Bart's not going to have any tungsten on him. He's got nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah,
It's
this
fine.
creature's not going to rip you open and take your tungsten.
Yeah. But also, it's just the fact that it was so thin, the torso
Yeah.
was so thin,
Yeah.
that I don't think it could have been a guy in a suit, but, The Simpsons has its own weird...
And then the Allen wrenches for fingers. Yeah.
Yeah. Who's the really tall, creepy guy that always plays every tall, creepy monster in movies?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Totally
yeah.
McCreepin scene.
Oh,
yeah,
fuck.
goddamn, it's lovely.
Yeah.
He's bald.
Yeah.
And tall and creepy.
He's in The Hills Have Eyes and all of those ones and stuff. But yeah, I can imagine maybe him.
And he's like the pale man.
It's
and
the
stuff.
only one. Yeah, exactly.
Andy
Doug Jones,
Serkis.
Doug
Doug Jones, yeah.
Damn, I was close.
But yeah, I feel like it was, in that case, there is a sentient robot roaming the halls of Springfield's IKEA
In
store.
that one
store.
situation.
I mean, if nothing else, it's somebody with an RC controller behind, just being like, I'm gonna fuck with this kid.
Yeah.
But the jokes itself are quite fun, and it's the idea of them capturing an Oompa Loompa style situation where they've taken over another race that just happens to look like an Allen key to fit their mascot.
Yep.
I loved it. The other wackiness that I actually really did like in this episode was wow, the animals here are really different at night.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
God.
the turtles swinging from the
Yes.
trees, and of course
Koalas
the
are
koalas. As
feasting.
an Australian,
I mean, we
finally
all
seeing their
know.
drop bear nature.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
It's really good.
It's time the Americans learned the truth.
I was going to say, wackiness I thought about was the cans of beans that were bulging with heat
Yeah.
as he puts them on the barbecue. And then the fact that another more proof that Homer is a god.
They
Scalding
exploded?
beans explode on his face and he does not
Yes.
move an inch. He's like, well, kids,
Dude.
hold on. Was he just feeding them 2 cans of hot beans for dinner? What the
Yeah,
hell?
it's come and get it. This scene is actually a little triggering for me because one of the things I used to love doing as a kid was because we used to have one of those open barbecues where you'd build a fire underneath and it was kind of an open front with the grill on top, and I just used to love stoking the fire, playing with a stick, setting it on fire, and just I don't know, just playing with the coals and whatever. And on one particular Sunday Arvo, one of my brothers had thrown a can of beans in there.
Oh, no.
I had no idea.
Oh, no.
Everyone else was inside doing other food prep. And then, all of a sudden I'm doing my stoking the coals, playing with fire game, and then boom.
Really?
I also had this thing where I didn't like to wear shirts as a kid, so
6 months
Do you
later,
have
he
a
still has no
third-degree
memory of
bean
the.
burn to your body?
I'm just
Yeah.
making these
Say.
little kidney-shaped like
Yeah.
scars all over your chest. Like, oh
And
no,
that's your
Elliot.
hero origin story. He then
Dude,
became
the
bean
shrapnel off the can.
no, like it was a clean pop off the can. I remember that.
Fucking hell.
But like what I remember is like hearing the boom, just grey, like that really thick white grey smoke everywhere. Then looking down and like the adrenaline like has already kicked in. And I like look down. I don't know what's happened.
Yeah.
Running, screaming
Yeah, that
inside,
sounds
get
right.
straight into a cold bath.
Oh, no.
Mum screaming, it's like, calm down, fucking Lincoln. God damn it.
You're like, I have been bean.
Yeah, dox that motherfucker.
Yeah. You burnt me with beans
I mean,
about
it could have
30
been
years
either,
ago.
brother.
Yeah. Very sure it was Lincoln.
Hey.
Slightly wacky, I guess, naming a character Kid Kill. Larry Kid
Oh,
Kill.
yes.
Oh,
the one looking after the child.
Bring us to one of our guest stars for this episode. Does anyone recognize who played Larry Kid Kill?
I don't know,
Meryl
but he
Streep.
looked like he was modeled after like older Henry Winkler, like his
Yes.
visuals, but I don't think the voice was him.
No, it was voiced by Gary Marshall.
That's a familiar name.
I think he wrote and directed Pretty Woman and
Yeah.
was like an early writer on the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Went on to make all those fucking like Valentine's Day, New Year's Day movies and things like that. Like big name in like Hollywood production.
But as
and
like a
things that.
non-actor, I thought he did really good.
Yeah.
Really well, rather. Superman does really good.
Yeah.
Hey.
Speaking of dusting off old bits.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah.
Ay caramba.
There was a line. Was
Blair's
it this one that
classic
was it this episode
catchphrase.
that had the line about dusting? Or like, stop spouting your witty catchphrases.
Oh yeah, because Homer just went all
Hackney
like
catchphrases.
All 90s, could you be any more hello?
yeah,
Oh.
just went real Valley Girl for a
Actually,
second.
I
no,
kinda
but
love
see,
it.
I
Went real
like
Chandler.
Chandler.
Oh right.
I
watched
liked that
Friends.
though because it wasn't like a younger character put in to make fun of the youth. It was Homer representing this like
Yeah, that was
new
better
slang
than
that he's picked up,
Jump
and
Chat.
I don't know. It felt funny because he was using it, but it is irritating, and he
Yeah.
was irritating someone of his own peer group. So it didn't feel like this whole generational like mocking agenda. It was just a stupid joke of like
Yeah.
him asking a question, then being like, "Ooh, too much information," like it was
Yeah.
just dumb.
No, it felt like it wasn't trying to make a point and then hilariously failing.
And it was just a poo chilling his loins in the ice cream cooler.
Can I have one that wasn't under your ass?
Yeah, similar to the. Do you guys want a drink or anything? And he's like standing there with his 8 nipples and just be like, no.
But what about the heart of this episode? How is the emotional core in this one?
I do want to move on to the heart because that's this one had
Important.
some opportunity here, but I really feel that we need to address the big wacky elephant in the room, which is the end of the episode, because it was so ultra wacky, and for me personally, while I found it funny as a child, I don't think it was a good bit.
No.
And
there was a bit of time to spare out of this one if they, trimmed down the intro, because we got the full intro, so you wouldn't get a lot of time, but you get something.
you get
a
something
minute.
back. They could have done a little bit more. Like they had the Munsters actor, so it was a bit of a throwback to that
Yeah.
concept of he's
And-
looking for any kind of work. But
The other guest star.
Yeah, the other guest star, Butch Patrick playing themselves.
yeah, but like the end of the episode really started to feel like leaning towards those weird, unsequential
Yeah.
kind of jokes.
Like, I can kind of accept they don't explain why Mandula never got, ultrasound or anything, because that's the joke, and we're just trying to get on with the episode. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. The ending is pretty rushed. Sorry, you had a question over there in the hobo gloves.
Oh yeah. Heart of the episode. Watching that gorilla hold up its baby and saying, "Please take my baby too. Take it out of this prison."
There was
That
nothing
made me
else.
sad.
I know.
Dude, that's the heart.
Especially that there was nothing else to that than Homer going, "Whoa, this is weird."
Whoa, a little too real, bros. Am I right?
Yeah, it's such a shame the ending of this one. It's really going to drag it down for me.
Yeah, exactly. And like going back to the heart, even though he was like, "Oh, this is getting weird," like it was almost the acknowledging, like, yeah, I'm not thinking about that too much. Let's just keep going.
Yeah.
And it was like that little nod to going, hang on, what are we
Yeah.
putting in zoos here? So it was a slight scathing indictment of zoos, which I do appreciate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
but
too.
even if Homer's line had been something like, "Oh, we don't have time for 2 plot lines here."
Sure.
Yeah.
Like that's an actual
Yeah.
joke. Like the other thing was not a joke. But yeah, I mean, that and like there is so much wackiness to go. Like that Homer was able to convince Larry Kidkill to like not take the octuplets back and
Take him riding a tricycle amongst cobras with Butch
Oh,
Patrick
man.
on his shoulders.
and then Butch Patrick is like, yeah, I'm down.
For like seemingly forever, I guess, because it was a
Yeah.
lifetime contract for the other one. So
Well,
like,
there's a lot
That's
of
a
Cobra in
good
all
friend.
those Venoms.
Oh,
That
yeah,
is
some
not
are
going to be a
just-
long lifetime.
Some are just robots filled with venom. I do like that line.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, it was funny, but that was a hard right turn into insanity in the last like 30 seconds of this show.
Yeah, again, and yeah, Peach, you make a good point. They did full intro
They
in
did?
this one, and they had time to,
Yeah.
course correct there.
Do something.
Just
Yeah.
free up a little bit of time for
I'm
something
looking
more.
forward to us explaining how we figure they change that because I can't think of anything.
Yeah, look,
so
it's
hopefully
tough.
you guys
Well,
will.
we've got at least a couple of questions before we get there. So,
I mean, it still could have gone with the like, please, Mr. Kidkill, if I could, take over my friend's place. I don't hate that. It's just what the show ended up being was very odd. I mean, it could have been the gorilla in the nice nursery.
Sure.
I mean, a little throwback to the whole gorilla.
I love that.
Yeah, that would have been real cute, actually. That's a way better than what I was going to say, which is Hans Moleman dressed up as Bart again.
Yeah. Well, they just kidnapped the Shelbyville 9. Which
of
sounds
course.
like a court case.
But who cares? They're
But-
shit from Shelbyville.
No, but they were mentioned in the first, so they should be referenced again in the second as like closer. That makes way more sense.
Yeah, it's Chekhov's non-oplets.
Yep.
But how about the heart of this episode? How was the emotional core? Did you feel bumps?
Yeah, look,
That-
Pooh and Manjula
that
go
ape
on,
holding up her
on a
baby.
whole ride. They're like, are we ready for kids? I think it's time we
Yes.
did this. And then, getting aid out of nowhere. And at first it's all, this is actually great. We're getting so much support. And then have that all taken away. And they're like, we are so tired and everything is chaos. Please take a baby as an apology.
Yeah, that was so human.
Like,
man.
there's a lot.
I'm sure one
maybe
of you
it doesn't
guys
get fleshed, but
one
still.
of you guys remember, what does Apu say that gets Manjula so hot when they first try?
It's something along the lines of, you get to that point in your life where you start thinking, who will float my corpse down the Ganges?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is one of the many racially themed jokes in the episode. And I'm not like the Ganges River joke is good, but there was a lot of
curry
there was a
face
lot of
and there
ones
was a lot-
that weren't so good.
Although I kind of like Chutney Butt for just being really stupid.
I don't
It's
hate
got
that
good
one
flow.
either, but I feel like I don't
and
know.
he
But
says, Calcutta when he
Yeah.
when he
That's what I was going to say.
has
He
his
is at least consistent from the last episode we watched because he
Yeah.
doesn't call it Kolkata. He does call it Calcutta because obviously the Simpsons don't know which one it is.
Yep. I did
mean-
say this was a funny show, but the racist bits weren't funny. But this was still a funny show.
that part of the episode, they could have easily just taken out those few jokes, and it would have been a lot less about them being Indian.
Yeah.
And then
And just
seconds
being
later though, Homer calls Marge baby doll, and he does it so smooth and natural that it's just like, damn, that feels normal. But he's never done that before. He never said ever.
I do like
They
that
ju-
though.
that's
I'm
just like
sterile,
them
right,
feeling
baby doll?
guilty about
Yeah.
the last bit. Yeah, that was
Yes,
funny.
Homer, because of you working at the power plant, you were sterile. Because obviously this has come up a few times before and he just keeps forgetting.
But yeah, he doesn't call her some, racially charged pet name like, gun face. I don't know.
I love you, hamburger
He usually
boobs.
says Marge. He usually says Marge. So it is unusual, but because it felt so natural, it sort of felt like them backpedaling on Curry Face and Calcutta Face and stuff.
He has called her baby quite a lot before.
Yeah, but bringing it back to the core heart of this episode, it's almost a shame that they kind of undermine the heart of it with the whole fertility, like people drugging Manjula angle, because it's it's a devastating thing, when you're trying to get pregnant and you keep failing and failing and failing, and then just to get 8 all at once, you don't need the fertility angle. It's just that was the roll of the dice.
Yeah.
And they
that
could
is-
have easily, though, made it, I didn't want to tell you, but I've been taking fertility drugs. And he could have said, I didn't want to tell you, but I've been taking fertility drugs. So
Yeah.
that could have been the combined of the
Sure.
both of them trying to make the other person happy.
There's no sort of consent issue there.
Yeah, exactly. They've made the
except on
decision.
each other's half.
They should have talked to each other about it, but at least it wasn't a drugging another person without their knowledge.
Yeah.
And it could have been the same joke, basically. But
Yeah, it's one of these things that's like, why are you getting the Simpsons involved here?
Yeah.
Like, have your faith to give your B characters a story with not involving the fucking Simpsons.
Like you said a second ago, though, it's more powerful if it is just, hey, this is random chance. Shit happens. And octuplets, not often, but apparently it does just happen.
Yeah.
You don't need
Yeah.
to
And I think, especially
Blame
in this
the people. Find people to blame is
well,
shit.
in this era of 90s television, having characters struggling to conceive was constantly a plot point.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
done in Friends. It was done in Frasier. It's like that's one thing I
name it,
love
yeah.
about Malcolm in the Middle. It just happens.
Yeah.
And they're like, shit.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was done so often. I feel like this was a response to that of being like, okay, what if they can't? But then all of a sudden, boom, 8.
And for those that don't know, Beach is stroking a white cat at the moment, and I think he's come full to the villain that he always wanted to be.
Meow, Mr. Bond.
But ultimately, did this feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
It kind of did.
Yes.
Like, mistakes and all, it was...
Even it's fuck you out. In this era of The
It
Simpsons,
was
we feel
witty.
that.
It was absurd. It was... You had to sort of suspend your disbelief, but they were all people as well, and they were all struggling with their problems, you know? It's
Yeah.
really, like, so much more human episode than the last one.
It was that era of The Simpsons where I think they were like, okay, ideas for stories. What if we take a B character and we expand
Yeah.
their plot a little bit?
I feel like it makes sense because Apu Manjula got married in season 7 or 10?
9.
9. Okay, so a couple of seasons ago. It's like, okay, they make sense that they would be thinking about this.
Well, it does come from this time where it was especially kicked off in the Oakley Weinstein era of like season 7 and after, where they would take some of these B characters and try to evolve them a bit more. And yeah, especially in the sense of Apu, where give him a little bit more something to do. He has a wife now, and now he has kids. Like, but yeah, it does bring us to another problem with this episode. Is the other guest star of this episode playing Manjula is Jan Hooks.
Oh. So they haven't changed their minds yet. Not
No.
even a little.
Jordan, I think we know her best as Verna, Jenna Maroney's mum in 30 Rock.
Oh, right.
really?
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I got the
Yeah.
meat, Jack. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. One feels like a firm cantaloupe, and the other feels like a baggie filled with mushroom soup. Sorry, she got half a boob job.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No, a boob lift. I've got the meat,
Oh,
Jack.
that's right.
I didn't talk about it in the last episode, but I was really uncomfortable with watching two white guys have a conversation in the hospital pretending to be two Indian guys. Like, their accents weren't great, and it kind of came and went.
He was obviously like Skinner's voice actor, right?
it was
because he kept
Hondo
slipping
Pig.
into. Yeah.
It was, like they gave it a crack, but that was really disrespectful and poor taste, and it really stood out watching the two of them kind of try to bounce off each other and keep it natural. And this is the exact same thing here.
Sorry, are you getting purring on mic?
I'm trying to get something out of it.
down lower.
It's amazing how they can do that. All right.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not funny. I was about to say because it's like Hank Azaria sort of has, again, priors in this because I was just thinking about in Mystery Men, he plays like the Blue Raja as well, doesn't he?
Well, to be fair, he's not meant to be Indian.
No,
though.
he's British. But
from
it's-
British
he's
India.
dressed
Yeah, he's dressed in
atrociously.
a big old turban,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
That is not a British turban.
Oh,
True.
another thing that we're going to be reviewing soon on
Patreon.com/SideQuestStudios.
where we're doing a podcast called Starring Springfield, where we review movies that star the cast of The Simpsons. One of the Patreon perks is you get to pick the movies that we review. And Philip Wolf has said that we have to review Mystery Men. Coming soon.
Thank you,
Patreon.
Philip Wolf. And thank you, patrons. Everyone else, what's wrong with you?
Get on that Patreon, patreon.com/SideQuestStudios. We're an independent podcast. We don't get third-party advertisers. We just advertise ourselves. Back to the podcast.
I like
This is
William
so
H.
smooth.
Macy in that.
The
He's so
shoveler.
nice. Yeah.
I shovel well.
Luke, the characters do mostly feel like themselves, and as far as structure of a Simpsons episodes, besides the ending, like, I don't even hate the first act fuck you on this one, because it gets to where we're going, you know, Apu and Manjula are there,
It's
and
quick,
too.
too.
It feels like a good, like, Passover in a fucking relay event or something, you know? Passing the plot baton, as it were. But yeah, that ending. But ultimately, would you watch this one again?
Oh man,
Yes,
I
I
would
would,
watch
Kent.
that like
Yeah.
that chop top scene with Apu and Manjula. Watch it again and again and again.
Reading along with the script.
Oh, fuck, that was the best part of this episode. No question. Just that shot of Homer with his hands. He's so eager to see his actors reading out his work. That wasn't about the sex at all.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so good.
He's all like,
Wow, way to mouth along to the script, Elliot.
Yeah, dude, this is an audio medium. Audio medium.
Yeah. Maybe if you made a video version for your Patreon.
For those
Patreon.
playing along at home.
I was gonna say I think I'd be like, yeah, yeah, I think this one be good. And I'd watch the first 2/3 and be like, wait, no, I have to stop now. Like, I can just skip the third act probably.
Yeah, find your thing to do. Make your tea for the next episode. And, if we've got another episode queued up, what would it be? What's an episode that would pair nicely with this one?
Look, we do have to address the other elephant in the room, and that's that this episode had
Elephant grade
peanuts, and the previous episode had circus grade peanuts.
They
So
rebranded.
Much as I don't want to recommend that one, anything so maybe the Stampy one where he goes to the peanut factory.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
nice.
Peanuts playlist.
I just want to really quickly say I want to address the even more literal elephant in the room is that when Apu is using like all his arms and legs to like rock things.
Oh, yeah.
There's like a picture of what I think is like the Simpsons version of Babar on the nursery wall.
Oh, no.
I think.
Oh, I did read that. Yeah, in the wall they've got Babar and he's dressed like a Indian prime minister or something
Are you
like
sure
that.
it wasn't Ganesh?
I mean,
No, it was an elephant wearing clothes with a crown, I'm pretty sure.
I loved Babar, but it's only as an adult I
Oh, you love
realized it was
colonialism?
colonialist propaganda.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
exactly.
I've,
my God.
I've not revisited it all.
100%. So basically, from what I recall, the older white woman comes into the jungle and teaches the elephants to be civilized and live in homes and dress properly and stop being elephants. And then they wage like war against essentially the rhinoceroses who are like, no, the jungle's great.
Jesus.
Not great, guys. But I wish so many things from my childhood weren't racist.
I remember it being one of the chillest shows ever.
Yeah.
Right? It was so pleasant.
Yep,
But-
in the octuplets room there is a picture of the character Babar the elephant dressed as former Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru.
That's a deep cut there, I'm presuming.
Prime Minister Nehru. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Or Apu's wedding, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh man, can we rewind to the heart real quick? Just when
My favorite section.
yeah, Bart's all like,
chest.
Homer's looking at all the free stuff they're getting, and he's like, I've got these stupid one-tuplets, and Bart's like, oh, sorry for being born. And Homer gets down and is like, I've been waiting so long to hear you say that and hug that. But I just love that Bart stops, it just shrugs and leans into the hug.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a
This is nice. But what would you like to change? We'll go around this time. This time. BT, what would you change?
Look, it's just that ending mostly. Obviously, you've got a few more off-color jokes that are a product of their time. You can't really do too much other than reverse time. And the same what we want with just changing this ending. I'm not too sure to what, because to be fair, it's a sticky situation. You don't have a lot of time. It could be enough to say they busted them out of prison, and maybe there's a clause in the contract where it says doesn't mention no heists. I don't know.
They've
but
got them all in fake mustaches so they can't be recognized.
switched all their personalities around, and it's like, which baby, because they don't know the baby's names. They only
they
gave
do the shell game with the babies.
Yeah, I guess.
And then they do like double jeopardy where the twins both have the same DNAs and you can't tell which one did the murder, so you have to let them both go.
Or they could be like, what? These babies are getting older. That's not what we signed up for. And then just
Sure.
that one can walk now. This is garbage.
Yeah, okay.
Did I ask her?
I don't know. I sort of latched onto his.
Jordan.
You guys got better ideas about the ending. I just want to change. I just want to change the bit, which was my point before about the not knowing about having octuplets, and basically make it so that he does know basically at the start, and then when they do the 9-month time skip, they can make it like a 7 or 8 month time skip or whatever. And it's basically that like all their lives have been going pretty well, because I did like Lisa's line of like, I became the most popular girl in school, but then I lost it by being conceited. And that was a funny joke and all of that. But then show that Apu is like a haggard version of himself because he's stressed the fuck out about everything that's going to happen, and like they're still not prepared. And then you can make it so that it's like no matter what prep you do, like there's not enough time, there's not enough money, there's not enough space, like you don't have enough hands, you don't have the help, you've still got to run your own business, and just make it like that. I think
That's
that would be
a pretty
really
good point
So
because,
good.
before the baby comes, that's still a lot of fucking work, And poor Manjula,
Yeah, that's so much more interesting than selling it to a zoo.
yeah.
Or even do a different time skip. Have them like, have the babies and they're super happy on day one. And then they
Yeah.
skip 3 months ahead
Yeah.
and like they've just absolutely drowned with it. Yeah.
See the house before it's all a wreck, have them prepping and shit, and then it's 9 months later, and then the house
because
is...
they've prepped for one.
Yeah.
No, that's really interesting. Yeah, I like how your ideas are expanding the ending and also expanding the beginning a bit.
I got a dumb one.
Mm-hmm.
They donate 1 baby each to 8 different friends to like foster them, right? And then when they're 18, all 8 of them meet up again. But first you've got like 8 different spin-offs, like Quimby and a baby, Skinner and a baby, baby,
Man.
yeah, Bumblebee Man and a baby, and then they all recombine and form Captain Planet in the season finale.
Okay.
Not the specifics, but I do like where your head's at. Claire.
I mean, yeah, look, it really needs to they could just take out so many of the little racist jokes and things like that.
Yes.
And it wouldn't affect the plot. It wouldn't affect anything else. The other one that we didn't touch on is where they're baby talking and she's like, oh, they love baby talk. It's like, that was Hindi.
Oh, that was awful. Wait,
Great.
sorry. Could I just say, you were so right just then when you said none of the racist stuff had anything none of the plot has anything to do with their race as Indian people at all.
And like, it would certainly... like that other joke about, the 8th wonder of the third world or something like that.
Yeah.
Really hated that. Just
they're
take
American.
them
Third
out.
world?
Just take it out,
Fuck
please,
off.
and thank you. But the other thing I would change, maybe like sort of building off what we were talking about earlier about, Homer's idea is to get in the Shelbyville 9 instead, and you could have them have a throwaway line about, it's like, yes, once those 10 babies were born in, I don't know, third city.
Ogdenville.
Yeah, Ogdenville. Yeah. We really lost all our funding. And it was like, oh, well, their misery is our freedom. Like it wouldn't have been.
It's a very Simpsons ending.
It's a very Simpsons ending. Exactly. It's like we've wrapped it up, but, somebody else is still out there suffering. I think that would have been like nice and tight.
Yeah.
I just remembered, guys,
tight.
that the blackboard was Indian burns aren't cultural heritage.
Not a good lining up for the plot of this episode.
Right.
Usually they're very separate, yeah.
Well, that's there's a different meaning of Indian for that
Yeah.
one.
We would say Native American.
Which is,
terms.
That wasn't
also
any better.
racist.
Or First Nation.
No,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, but like for real, like a plot that isn't actually about their Indianness at all.
Yeah. God, what would I change? Fuck, I liked your idea so much more than whatever shit was
Well, you
rattling
can't have
around there.
them.
Yeah, I know. I need to come up with my own.
Need to pay your writers, Elliot.
Yeah, I guess I'd just rather the Simpsons were a bit more separated from this. Yeah, you can have your fuck you intro with, fuck with a umlaut.
What if
but
they never leave the IKEA and the rest of the episode is like a Lost in IKEA episode?
Jot?
Total different
Raising
direction.
8 babies in an IKEA.
You could comfortably do that for sure.
Mm.
You seen how many,
None
like
of
how
those
comfy
toilets are
all of
hooked
those
up,
are?
man.
That's fine. There's a million of them.
Million not hooked up toilet. I don't like the implications there.
You just go through them and eventually like you loop around and it's like there's new ones again.
Jordan is the reason they have the plastic over them now.
All right, I think it's time for our final notes.
Yeah, I have so many final notes today.
All right, let's hear them.
Another bit of wackiness at the beginning where he sits on the beanbag and he finds out that the
Yes.
sea captain was already in there. Arr, she swallowed me whole. And I
Yeah,
really
good
enjoyed that.
line.
That was good.
As a sex freak millennial, I was like, she swallowed me whole. She swallowed you what? Yeah, doing.
But
John's ruined my final notes.
but as like one of the first jokes of the episode, that was like, oh, okay, we're not in classic, but we're in the territory of classic Simpsons. Felt
So-
better.
Straight away, so much better than the last episode.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It was just little jokes. It didn't have to be like, oh, the sea captain. What a sea captain thing for you to say, sea captain. Like,
Yeah,
it was just,
exactly.
we knew who he was. The second note is little one like, oh, how's that arranged marriage going? Quite happily. Pay up, Marge. Love that one. That was good. He maybe does like to gamble, and maybe this is where it started because they were using that PNC pregnancy test, which gives
yes.
you
Well,
baby,
it's very,
baby,
yeah.
oh, lemon, and then Pirates are Wild.
Yeah, that's right. Because in the last one, it was Sheldon, Kaylee Kawakako. I don't
know.
No, it
any
was
of those people.
Wolowski, whatever the other one is, the one with the bowl cut.
Haha, you
Nobody
corrected me
cares.
on Big Bang Theory facts.
Yeah, you're such a loser.
Yeah, because I know about what I hate.
Yeah.
Keep your enemies close.
Yeah.
When he's like, what did you and Marge do when you decided to have children? Decided. Love that.
Oh,
They just
I
happen.
was about to say for the follow-up of, no, kids just happen. Yeah, it's just good.
I did like the really quick jump to like, Apu, do you still find me beautiful? Yes, you're beautiful, silky, and manageable. Love that. That was
Reading off the
good.
conditioner.
Also, shout out to Gil. I'm really glad you found a job. I hope your back's okay.
Yeah, good luck, Gil.
One of my favorite things of it, because I like a good dark joke, which was like, oh, I had a beautiful dream that I died. No dying until the kids are in college. I'll die when I want to.
Die when I want to.
Loved it. How do you get cradle rash when you sleep in a suitcase?
Yep.
Oh, we did touch on the whole banana bread one, but I just really like the line, oh, hallelujah, all my problems are solved. Right? So good.
Yeah, because it's one of those things you do to, friends who have just had a baby as well, because food's one of the things that can fall by the wayside for them. So it's a nice thing you do.
That whole scene, so good, man. When they walk in and he's just lying collapsed on the floor.
Welcome to my nightmare.
Welcome to my nightmare.
Oh, it's the couple with one baby. How do you manage?
And he stands up and he's still leaking from 8 nipples constantly throughout the rest of the scene.
The little throwaway, which is really nice to see from this. Marge, they've turned into jerks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Also, I dare you not to look at a kangaroo and
I dare you to look at this kangaroo and not laugh.
It's like, well, he's usually funnier.
The most depressed kangaroo the Simpsons have ever drawn.
Amazing.
And Joey.
And Joey.
They were both
Friends.
so sad. And I think that was all my notes. Thank you, everyone.
Jordan.
Woo! Does Homer
applauded the
usually
note.
like giant tubs of coffee ice cream? It's like he was like, there's a big demand obviously in Springfield because there's an entire freezer with giant, what look like gallon tubs of coffee ice cream.
Maybe it was like the truffle flavoring of the late 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Just coffee
Yeah.
ice
The big
cream
fad.
everywhere. I
Look,
can't
we can
remember.
assume to some degree that in that episode where Lisa babysits Bart, she does give Maggie coffee ice cream, which
Oh,
implies
yes.
it was in the house.
True.
Whoa.
Coffee ice
Precedent.
cream playlist.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, Beach has gotten just twice as evil. He
I
now
am
has 2 white cats on his lap.
Betwixt the cats.
Surrounded by puss.
The other
It's
line.
a family show. Sorry.
The other lines
Fucking is
of look, you're gonna have to help me here. What I can't remember what Marge does in the interim 9 months.
I maintain that I wasn't lying.
Oh, she had a brief stint as Sideshow
Sideshow
Marge.
Marge.
That's right.
Sideshow
Thank
Marge!
you. But
Oh
then
my
also
God.
Bart's one of I learned the true meaning of Columbus Day, which horrifying
Yeah.
Bart that
Yeah.
he would probably like that sort of story. But then he's like, and then I learned the true meaning of winter. I'm like, okay, sure.
I do like
That to me, I don't think you could write that scene any better. Like,
Yeah.
it's such a Lisa plotline as well that, I got popular, then I was conceited.
Yes.
And then, the wacky plots for both Marge and Bart. I love this scene.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I'm just going to say ACAB because, again, the police department is completely useless. But, I mean, we come to expect that from Wigan when they go to the police to be like, help us. And well, nothing we can do, of course.
No,
Fuck
worth
them.
it for the line of, well, I'm going to take the law in my own hands. Yeah, a lot of people
Yeah,
have
a
been doing
lot
that
of people
lately.
do.
Just I know that trend.
My last note is just sort of like an observation because we rewatched Parks and Rec recently, and obviously Dan Castellaneta is
the
is
radio
thought for
host.
your thoughts with whatever his name is.
Yes, the music is quite bad.
Yeah,
but they are
lesbians. Yeah,
That was perfect.
research indicates our audience likes jazz.
Jazz plus jazz equals jazz.
Anyway, the point is he seems like a really intelligent guy. And it's weird to me, it's this contrast of him playing Homer, and part of me wonders, it's like, I am getting paid big money to do this thing. But I
Yeah,
sometimes
cash cow.
wonder if he hates reading what is written for him or whether he's like, this is actually really funny. I'm basically thinking of the bit at the end over the credits where he's screaming being bitten by crowbars
Yeah.
and he's doing this ad lib, and I'm like, do you think this is actually funny, Dan, or is this just like you're doing this for the coin and who gives a
Generally,
shit,
look,
whatever?
a little of both. Generally speaking, actors know you just read what you are given. It is not your place to rewrite it. It is you do the line, basically. And a lot of them just have that philosophy, which is basically how you get by, because half the time you don't know what the script is going to end up like in editing. And I just know from, working with actors and stuff, they will most of the time just do what they're given. That's their job.
Yeah, but at the same time, I imagine, because on DVD and Dextras, our other exclusive podcast over at Patreon. Fuck, I'm really
God, just
getting that in today.
getting those plugs.
But yeah, we've checked out some of their table reads and stuff like that, and it's
Dystopian.
yeah. They think the things are so funny in the room, and I think
Seriously?
part of the
Oh,
element
man.
of that is
Wild.
they have the actors there and they're performing
That's
for the
a
room,
shame.
and there's a bit more of an
Yeah.
energy there.
Yeah.
And so I think these extended Homer things, which were a big trend of the time, the your cut, all that sort of shit. And I think this was like, it really played in the recording booth in the recording studio where they, right in the script, Dan cast ad lib, you know.
And they're all falling over each other laughing.
Yeah, man. We could show you some weird shit.
Over at patreon.com/SideQuest Studios.
We'll show you some weird shit.
I feel like, look, I mean, yes, actors just go in there and they do the line, say the line, Bart. But I think after that many years, and I feel like the most successful characters are the ones where the actor has a strong sense of who that character is.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then can go, hang on, this is not really where I would go with him in this thing. Like, what about this? However, Homer as a character does not have a strong sense of self generally. Even early seasons Homer, like this Homer, right? Sort of reckless and a little bit like, you know, thoughtless about consequences versus what he wants to do. But he's not actually that stupid. And he's quite nice and pleasant and helpful overall. Like, you know, he's not mad at anyone in this episode. He's not getting angry. He's not being a jerk. He's, you know, having a nice conversation with Marge. Like, overall, a very pleasant version of Homer, but there's like 500 versions of Homer now. So which one are we getting per episode? We don't know, and maybe they don't know either. It just suits.
Right.
He suits the script they want to tell, and then sometimes not even that anymore.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he is probably the character in the immediate family that had evolved and changed way more over the years.
And is the least like anchored. You know, he can be different episode to episode within one season.
BT, what are your final notes?
I do like the line of, meet your firstborn child, now the other 7. We did have quite a discussion about the funniest way to tell you. I do like when Mr. Kid Kill shows up and he's like, come with me. Okay, Apu, you don't know who he is. Who cares? There's only one of him.
That was those both were really human lines. Like, we were trying to think of the funniest way to tell you. Oh, man. Being in the middle of some real shit and still being like, oh, man, I've got great shtick. We should try some great shtick.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys,
how
this is a
human
bit.
is that, right?
How often do you get the chance to say this?
I just didn't like Homer's follow-up to that with the, oh man, you should have seen your face. Huh? Yeah, I look just like that. I'm like, right.
Yeah, that was a little tired.
Well, he clearly wasn't there for the planning either, so he's just like jumping in on it. But also like Apu being, there's only one of him. Please, I'm going. Yes, let me go. Oh, so human, so good.
Yeah.
It's time to rank this thing. And who wants to go first?
Silver. I had a good time. There's some great stuff here. There are some stuff that doesn't work, and that ending does drag it down pretty hard. But I think just Apu at his lowest here is really human and also really entertaining. Yeah. Like that carrying that vest with 8 nipples on it. And just, the fact that it's constantly leaking throughout that entire scene.
That whole scene's amazing.
It's brilliantly done. Even, the whole things with Manjula to begin with. And yeah, it's very human and comedic, and I overall enjoyed this one. So I'm comfortable with a silver.
Danny.
Yeah, silver. Same as him. This was still a racist episode that I have a lot of problems with, but it was also funny, and it wasn't the racism that was funny, which is why I can give it a silver and not hate myself. It wasn't a perfect episode.
That's why it's not getting cubic.
Bam.
Yeah, and just to ride that silver train with you, I'm right there as well. Like, there's a lot of change about it, but like we had some actual laugh out loud moments in this one, and it didn't feel like
an episode that's 68 years old.
Yeah. I'm going silver. Claire.
Ooh, here comes Queen Bring Down.
Okay.
Right.
So look, I understand every single one of your points, and I agree with them.
I know why you're wrong.
No. The thing is, you're not fundamentally wrong. It's just sort of depends on how much watching it in the light of day now has affected how I can really could I wholeheartedly tell someone this is a great episode to watch?
Yeah.
I would watch it. I might even think gold star. I love this. This is so funny. But could I actually recommend somebody else
gold,
and say this is gold? No. I'm going to go with bronze because quite honestly, even though I still enjoyed it and I laughed and everything was good, there is actually way too many racist jokes. It's really quite problematic in its whole premise. And it's just...
A lot of people drug Manjula.
A lot of people drug her.
That's a good
There's
point.
a fucking human zoo. There's a lot of racism going on here. So there are a lot of good jokes, and that does make it an enjoyable episode to watch, but I don't think it's an episode that anyone now would get on board with. So take from it what you will. If you're listening to this podcast, if you did watch it back in the day and you remember liking it, go back. You probably still will like it.
Yeah.
If you've never seen it before, go into it knowing that you're going to have some problems with it and see what you can get out of it. I don't know. It's going to differ.
Joran.
Yeah, I'm a little bit conflicted as well because for all the points that you've raised, it's
He's
problematic.
going Topaz.
It's
Tungsten.
Yeah, no. I think I don't want to give it credit or forgive it in any way because, like, obviously the jokes are problematic and racist and that kind of thing. I think in the context of it being 24 years ago that it was put out, and probably 25 when it was first written, there was a lot of TV and everything that was bad at the time, that it was probably no worse than anything else that was on TV at the time. Now, looking back on it, it is worse. Yeah, so that does give me that sort of bronze silver thing. I think I'm going to go silver for now, with the context of, like, if that came out today, obviously that would be way lower. On the context of it, where it is and in the canon, silver, whatever.
Yeah,
Sure.
for me, because of those problematic elements, and quite frankly, the rushed and bullshit ending. Like, it definitely got brought down to a silver. But I was very much on that bronze silver borderline. So. And that'll average out to be a dull silver. It'll be the second episode from season 11 to be called a dull silver. It'll be joining Saddle Saw Galactica.
Oh, talk about third act fuck yous.
Yeah. That's the one where they get the horse. That's not
Grasshoppers?
Lisa's pony. Huh?
The one with the grasshoppers?
No. Furious D.
Yeah, it was the racehorse one, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
Bart
yeah,
gets the
yeah,
racehorse,
yeah.
and then it ends with jockey elves. And they sing a little song. We are the jockey elves.
Yeah,
Yes, I don't remember liking that episode at
It is.
all.
First half's pretty good, and then wow,
went to shit,
clunk.
yeah.
It was even one where it's like, okay, well, this defies our rating scale,
Yeah.
but for, lack of a different scale, here's what else.
It's really, as well, the episode we pinpoint as the tipping point for Simpsons
Fully.
episodes.
All right. Last time for this group, I get to say this.
Whoa.
It's time for the classic episode.
Hey, you can say that to me anytime, baby.
Well, you're going to be on the last one, so I'll say it to you again.
We'll just say it
And I
like
guess
when we're
we-
in a group, and then we'll just all start making out
Yeah.
sloppy style, you know?
I guess I'll be there as well.
Get slonked silly style. Please don't put that on the podcast.
Check this thing.
Nope. It's on record. Claire's
Oh, no.
slonking the shit.
Oh. Elliot, just read the episode.
We're going to go watch Much Ado. Fucking hell. We're going to go watch Much Ado About Nothing. We'll be back.
I have cats sleeping on me, so I'm not moving anywhere.
Drag the chair into the TV room.
Much ado about nothing. It's the Aladdin crossover. I see.
And we are back, and we've just watched our classic and final episode of the evening. This was Season 7, Episode 23, Much Ado About Nothing. First released in May of 1996, it was directed by Susie Dieter, written by David S. Cohen, also known for Futurama fans as David X. Cohen. In this episode, you all know this one, it's the
No on 24. No on 24.
where, Quimby
We're
wants...
here.
Yeah,
We're
down with Kiefer Sutherland. Down with Kiefer Sutherland.
Oh, because 24, yeah. Just topical.
We don't
reference.
want any more bears.
It's the Quimby wants to send home illegal immigrants. Hey, y'all, what do we think?
I thought that bear was cute as fuck, man.
This is a
Oh,
cute
I
bear.
would've-
Reminded me of those pictures of, like, it's unfair that bears
Yeah.
are murderous killing machines capable of absolutely destroying you.
Oh, yeah.
When they've got those stupid little
Little fuzzy
ears.
little
Like,
ears.
If not friend, why friend shaped? Yeah. I mean, can I just say, didn't this episode just seem to go by so quickly because you were having a good time and it just flowed nicely?
And had some commentary in there.
Yeah, like a very hot button issue that sort of, I don't know, just dealt with it in a...
It was still racist, but it was so much less racist.
The big racist part was the flashback to his home country.
Yeah.
If you took that out, there was actually much less problem here than there was other episodes like that we've seen today.
I did
Yeah.
have a weird moment where, it's racist that he gets his diploma from a cobra in a basket.
Oh,
That
yeah,
said,
there was
him
that.
backing away from the cobra really made me laugh.
Why was his dad topless? That was kind of strange.
Your dad's not topless?
He might
My
be.
dad was topless all the time.
He might be right now.
One of the things that I think, I don't know if I quite picked up on, and it's like, I feel like this episode is also trying to say, look at these slob Americans that are just taking advantage
of course.
like, just happen to be born in this place. Like, how are they more deserving than Apu, who just... He does know a lot about American history. He is, like, working and contributing to the economy of this
How
place.
the fuck does knowing American history make you qualified to be an American?
citizenship tests have to do something, and they're like,
that's everything. Haven't you seen our citizenship
No,
test?
I know, but that's what I mean. I mean, like being a student of history isn't. Surely it's about current legislation.
No, you're
should
completely
be
right, but they have to put something in the test. So.
I actually disagree in the sense of I'm not saying what the citizenship test actually is, but I think if you were coming to a country, it's important to know the history. For example, how fucking genocidal we were and how we're all trying to correct it. And maybe, if it was used for that.
The government
100%.
owning up to its mistakes in that sense.
Also, I mean, for example, let's say we all want to immigrate to Germany. And I know we love jumping to Nazis is a very nice example of everything. But genuinely, if you went into Germany, you would need to know the history of that country because a lot of the laws that exist currently are because of, well, not a lot of them, but there are several related to that situation.
To what's going
exactly.
on
but that equates to Germany giving immigrants a test saying, "Did you know we were Nazis?" ?
Well, I think that the whole point of them is that if you're immigrating to a country, the country is going to want you to assimilate, not to pave over your own culture, but to be able to bring what you have into the country, but also still create and join in with the country that you're joining in. And the good way to do that is to know a little bit about the country. And I can see sort of in that respect why it's there.
I get that, but I feel like it should still be a test on current legislation or current culture, even current how qualified are you to live in our
Well, we're
laws
getting
and
into
our...
reviewing citizenship tests.
Damn,
and
I'm
maybe
so
outside the
distracted
episode.
from this episode suddenly. That was really fascinating.
Welcome to the Citizenship Index.
Hey,
Where we review citizenship tests from around the globe. Actually, this could be really good, guys.
right?
Actually,
How many countries can we just get into by not even studying?
I'll just need to see your papers first.
The joke that they have in the episode of, Apu doing all this work and study for this test, and then, he asks, what caused the Civil War? And goes into, great details. Just say slavery, dude.
Just say slavery, man.
Yeah, and David X. Cohen brought this from real life. This happened to a friend of his.
Oh, really?
So fucking American.
Yeah, because, I don't know, how well you guys know David X. Cohen, but he is a big old nerd, and he studied, pretty sure it was computer science at university, and he had a lot of Indian friends and who had to sit these sort of tests. So, he drew a lot from his real friendships and stuff for this episode,
Yeah, because it is interesting that in his examples there were numerous examples of abolitionists versus anti-abolitionists, that's slavery.
Yeah.
But you're still dressing it up properly and
Yeah, and that's sort of what it is at the end of that. It is just a bit of bureaucracy, and I'm sure, the person monitoring the test
just say the word.
Yeah.
I know that you know, but just so we can mark this off.
Yeah.
Just say slavery.
Just trying to tick a box here, dude. Yeah. All right, let's hook into the questionnaire. Claire, we'll start with you. For better or worse, what's a moment that stands out from this one?
Why do I wait?
Name it if you want.
It's so hard to pick a moment. Okay, can you go and then I'll go next?
Yep. Look, man, weirdly enough, this had some echoings of COVID times, because Homer's line of, if I'm going to be trapped inside the house, I'm going to go out and get some beer. I'm like, oh, I lived through that. And Maud being like, Marge, it was terrible. We were in the house all afternoon and we drank toilet water.
I love the tizzy that this town gets into over this bear that was mostly good-natured.
Yeah,
They are good
Ned
at a tizzy.
freaking out and running through the window. No time for the secret knock.
I'm panicking, Nettie. I can't open the door.
Yeah. Springfield
Can't
is
work
really
the knob.
And the bear's
a
just
metaphor for America as a whole in that sense.
For every kind of panic ever, anywhere. That was a fantastic little moment there. Claire, what about you?
Okay, a moment I really, really liked, and sort of leans into the wackiness, is when, they've all sort of exhausted the ways that he can just stay, and they're sitting around the dining table, and Grandpa's like, the government don't control the sky. You could live in a balloon.
Oh my God.
And Lisa says, that's it. And Bart just goes, see, Mom, she's as dumb as me. So good. The timing is perfect.
I forgot that's what it led to. I thought the balloon was just a throwaway, whatever, Grandpa. But I love how that whole rolls out. Yeah, that's such a good moment.
I was stunned that you all seemed to have forgotten that line was next, because I was sitting there going, I know what's that. Then your laugh was like, oh. Did you forget about that?
I completely forgot, and I loved it.
Fucking stole my moment.
The other Lisa moment as well, where the kids were just being kids. Was Lisa obviously being very liberal is definitely against sending the immigrants away, and so she's taken this stance. And so when Marge makes the decision to say I'm voting no, she's really happy.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, Mom, you're the best." can I have this licorice? And it's just like she would fully be happy that Marge is agreeing with her, but also using that opportunity of compliment the parent. Can I have a treat?
She's still in a store. She's at the impulse end, you know, or at the register, you know, like, yeah. It's still kid logic.
That was human.
Yeah. How about you, human? What's a moment that stands out to you for better or worse?
Bear was so cute. Oh my god!
Into the mic, sweetie.
That part when I'm trying not to yell into it. You see?
Okay.
That part.
Okay, Arj Barker.
I lean away from the mic to breathe. That part where he like stood up and looked slightly confused, and his little eyes crinkled, and then he goes and rubs up against the thing, and
And then, a bit with the panic that Ned is experiencing, that bursts him, and it pans across, and he's just sitting there, like, looking confused and weeping.
Oh, man. And Homer watching the box and going like, sucks to be the Simpsons family.
I love for the rest of the episode as well, their mailbox is still mangled. There's another 2 or 3 scenes after that, and they never fix it. It's like, even when the mail lady comes over later and like tries to shove the letters in the box, she really has to work it in there.
I liked the sort of like sad trombone music version of the Simpsons theme as well. The sort of
again, it was ponderous as he lumbered down the street.
Yeah, I found it even a surprising contrast with even the season 11 one, which still had a lot of incidental music, but especially the 27 episode we watched, which, again, so silent. And this one, it had a little bit of an off-kilter Simpsons theme. Something's a little bit different in the town today.
It's very I'm a bear.
Yeah. Like, it's a little bit foreboding, but it's also very bumpy. Like, this isn't your average bear.
No. In fact, they did it as it cut. So, like, it'd have the bear walk and be a playful music, and then cut to a human getting nervous, and it'd have nervous music, you know, and cut straight back to the bear and be, it's such a playful, serene, really, like, you know, Vivaldi's Four Seasons, that sort of capture of the atmosphere.
When you learn the true meaning of winter.
God damn it! I was fucking beat me to it. Well done.
It's almost like I've podcast with you for hundreds of hours.
Jordan, did I ask you yet? What stands out to you?
I think the thing it's so small and really insignificant, but I've often quoted we're here, we're queer, we don't want any more bears. And the fact that it's so Homer that Homer sees a pride parade and goes, what's that for? They've all got mustaches. It's a mustache parade. Like, that's his reasoning, his logic. It is very in character, I feel, that he doesn't ask any questions. It's like, it's a mustache parade. And that always pops into my head. So that was the bit. I'm like, it's this episode that happens. Of course it is,
As a kid, I thought it was a real mustache parade, but he like misheard the word bears for he heard beards. Yeah, and he was like, I can Weird Al this song. I can change the lyrics. Yeah.
I'm going to say, I don't think a mustache parade would be against bears.
Or beards.
Or them.
Or
bears with beards as well, sure.
We're here, we're queer, we don't want any more beards.
Or bears. Or Battlestar Galactica.
That's what kind of beard we're talking about.
Maybe it was a marriage equality parade, because we don't want to have to get married like Rock Hudson or whatever.
Yeah.
And what stands out to me for better or worse? This is an episode that would be the start of Apu's arranged marriage that they would then go and reference and
reference Manjula, because when he meets Manjula in that episode, he does say, she's like, "Hello, Apu, do you remember me?" And she goes, "Obviously not."
Yeah. So it was brought up in this one that there must actually be a bit of an age gap between these two, right?
Pretty common in arranged marriages.
I mean, actually, I feel like a lot of, there are, the thing of arranged marriages where the young girl is given to like the much older boy and like it's sort of set in stone, but they actually do often just have 2 kids. Like me and go, okay, in the future when you both are at the right age, you're going to get married. But like this is one of those things where it's like, it's great that they used this. They remembered what they did, and then they used it to form an episode later, which works out well. But also, it's one of those like kind of vaguely racist jokes as well, you know.
I was going to say, just as we've previously established, though, the age difference might not be that much because she was still living outside of the time bubble, so she was aging and Apu was not. So she's caught up, so it's fine.
Because it's not clear when the time bubble kicks in is the tricky part.
Let's hook into the questionnaire. I mean, we already have. Let's move on to
Elliot,
another
what's
question.
sticking it out for you?
I said the Mandela thing.
And
I
a
was not
hookup.
paying attention.
How about the wackiness? Was this a particularly wacky episode of The Simpsons?
Not particularly.
I feel like there was a couple of
Yeah.
the wacky jokes with Grandpa's story. I mean, it's also a Grandpa story which
So who
always goes
knows?
a little off the rails.
Yeah.
But I
Do
did
they actually
like
live in the Statue of Liberty?
well, there's that.
Oh, that was pretty
And just
good.
the whole, like, you know, he used to gas on about America. You know, it was the best thing since sliced bread, which had been invented the previous
No.
winter.
Yeah.
And then, you know, someday, son, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not soon, but we will live in America. Later that day.
This was back in the old country. I forget which one.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, I feel that though it's only wacky in the sense that it feels like Grandpa is just losing his mind a little bit and is just making up elements of the story, and it's just like, we probably did live in the Statue of Liberty and stuff, like, you know, not that he's saying it actually literally happened, but
Unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
Oh man, that shot of the lady sticking her head out the nose. It was so like Monty Python or Beatles or
This is why the wackiness in the older episodes worked so well, because it was wackiness combined within like some sort of context. For example, wackiness in that ad in the previous one. It works because it's within an ad, so you just can sit back and enjoy the stupid jokes that they do. Or a Grandpa story, like I tied an onion to my belt. You're okay with the wackiness because it's got the context of, you know, senility. You know, like you sort of roll with it, and it allows them to have a bit more fun. But the rest of the episode is relatively grounded in reality.
My only other note of whack was Wiggum hammering the sign into the dock that just breaks underneath.
Signs floating away, Chief.
So good.
I was going to say, I mean, wacky that they have a fucking B-52 Bear Patrol.
Oh my
like,
God, the stealth bomber?
Yeah, like
I love this though because this is such a overreaction of a situation. Like, Ned even says it. He's been living there for 30 years. The first bear he's ever seen, and they go full fucking tanks and helicopters.
I love Homer's response to that. If you want bears wandering into your neighborhood and eating your children and scaring off your salmon, then you do nothing about
I did say, I don't know if anyone else saw it, but there was a little, like, in one of the newspaper flip jokes down the bottom, there was a little footnote that said Bear Patrol steps up bombings, and it was like a picture of them. There's like dropping bombs in the woods or something. What the fuck are you guys doing?
I forgot
Bear
to say
Massacre Patrol.
I forgot to say that for, you know, what moments stood out to you for better or worse, man, the fucking Tiger Rock has lived in my head rent-free my entire
Yeah.
I know the
fucking life.
meaning of the word specious because of that.
Oh,
And that's
Right.
another excellent example of Lisa being much more intelligent than everyone else in the family, but also being a
accidentally.
kid and being like, I'm not going to win this, but I can make
It's
some
like,
money.
yeah. Well, she tries
She
to like
thinks
get him to,
about
no,
it.
don't give me money. And there's like gives up. It's like, oh, he's not going to understand. I may as well get paid.
He's not learning this lesson.
This is a great example of a show not tell joke where
Yeah.
she doesn't like say, no, Dad, I don't want to take your money. This isn't a real rock, again and again and again. She just shakes her head, looks at
Tries
it,
to shrug away.
shrugs,
almost
and then like
background by
takes
that
the money.
point.
Yeah, and it's just a little joke where she pockets the money as the mailman comes up, you know? It's great.
And friends over at Pods in the Key of Springfield
Like and subscribe.
started this Twitter trend ages ago called Simpsfeld, where they take, you know, Simpsons still images but mix in Seinfeld quotes. The shot of Homer giving Lisa the money and her initially refusing, I forget which one, it was either James or Nick, obviously they're the two. Anyway, they just commented with the one Seinfeld quote, "I'm out."
Gross.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Almost as bad as the one where Bart's mailing Christmas cards with Milhouse's mum, and he goes, "I'm not sure, but I think I see a nipple." Good stuff. Love
Good
you,
stuff.
James and Nick.
Yeah.
I hope to see you again one day, wherever you are.
Wherever you may be. Could
Just
it be
know.
Adelaide? Could it be somewhere else?
Just know,
Probably South Australia somewhere.
drinking a Coopers.
The same stars shine on them that shine on us.
Are we still in wackiness?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Go for it.
The picnic basket.
Oh,
I mean, great line by Mo because it works with his accent as well. You know, they're getting. Oh, what's the line that gets?
they stole my picnic
There's
basket.
that one, but
they're smarter than
they're
the average
bear. Thank you. They swiped my picnic basket, and then after they leave, Quimby pulls the basket out and starts eating the sandwich. Like,
So good.
Just
so
yeah.
good.
So the implication again, just They didn't over-explain it, but yeah, you as the audience piece together, okay, so Mo was having a picnic. Man Quimby, of all people, swiped his basket.
In amongst the bear chaos.
And Mo mistook him for a bear.
And it's another little like nod towards scapegoating as well,
Yes.
where once again it is just the regular town populace screwing each other over, not the bears or the immigrants.
Well, it's a sneaky little Mo story in this, how he's all leading the charge of, yeah, fuck those guys, but then, yeah, is later in the test, and he's got his fake mustache.
Because as we know,
Those
it's,
the protest the loudest.
there's that
yeah.
one of listen to your inner child where it's like, what's the matter, Mo? You're not talking with your accent no more. Mamma
Mamma
mia.
mia.
Where those Sislak. And I think we looked up the etymology.
He must be half Italian,
etymology
half
of
Polish or
Sislak
something.
once.
So yeah, I figured he was Polish. Czech, maybe.
But how about the heart of this episode? Joel, feel any bumps?
I did indeed, Elliot. I did indeed. Would you like to hear about them?
I would love to.
Sure.
Look, the big one I think is really when Apu breaks down. He's like, "What will my family think of me now?" And I was like, "Oh, no matter who you are, that's gonna hit you."
Yeah.
But he's given up his heritage and all that. It's like,
Who needs the infinite compassion of Ganesha when you have the
Tom
Tom
Cruise
Cruise and
Nicole
Nicole
Kidman.
Kidman
Staring up
staring
with
you
their
from the cover
dead
of Entertainment
lights.
Weekly with their cold, dead eyes.
That line was, for me, that was really powerful. Like, that was a powerful moment as he sort of broke his character and went back to being Indian. But equally, I was sitting there watching a white guy doing
I was about to say,
an impression of a white person.
props to
And
the
then-
ability of doing a Pooh's impression,
Yep.
doing an impression
But
of
then slowly becoming more
Yeah.
racist as his character is becoming less racist. Isn't there this weird inverse to it, you know?
It's complicated.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tell me.
This is the thing. If they leaned away from the really like cheap jokes of, he's Indian or he comes from the slums, probably a cobra gave him a thing, they would just have a character struggling with keeping their identity while enjoying life.
It
in
is
a
a
new
really powerful episode.
country.
It's just they fuck it up in that sense that they're not very good with the nuance.
I actually really liked. I mean, I won't say it's undercut by a joke because the joke was good, but the little thing of the kids picking on
Uta.
yeah, and Willie standing up for him like, you want to pick on someone, pick on me, please, Willie. The children want to pick on somebody their own size.
Yeah.
But like, I like that little moment. It's like, I came here legally as an exchange student,
Yeah.
Something
Little
that
guy.
sort of annoyed me about that, and I don't know about, is that I feel that Skinner is the type
gonna
of
say.
person that wouldn't fall for that sort of
Feels like an
rhetoric.
integrity break for Skinner.
Him
to,
to join in on picking on Uda, like especially with this sort of stuff. I can't remember exactly what he says, but it is that sort of those racist-y catchphrase sort of things, and it's just that felt really non-correct.
Yeah.
He,
no, I
Wrong.
agree.
he says
Non-correct.
he said something like, the only thing we exchanged for you was our national dignity or
Yeah,
something like
damn.
that.
What the fuck
dude.
does that even mean?
It's so cruel, but at the same time, it's it's like how Mo turns as well, and everyone follows this herd mentality, whether you're good or bad. That they're just like, oh no, this is causing problems for us. We can, we've had problems. We're getting charged extra money. We're being told that this thing is happening, so we're believing it, and that's. While it is an integrity break, I still like that you can see that
And
I guess the whole episode is really, I feel, a satire of the American political system with their
And
like we
scapegoating
have referendums, but they happen once in a blue moon, like once a decade maybe, when we're voting on really big constitutional changing things, whereas every local, state, whatever election, they have like a bunch of different things that they take to the public. And look, they say it in one point is democracy is stupid because you don't want to give laws out based on the popularity of the entire population. It should be you elect someone and they figure them out. You shouldn't have the people deciding on every single little law because they don't know what is good for the rest of everybody. It should just be... Anyway, I'm not going to make this political thing, but I think, the whole episode is basically saying like, and I thought, I'm sure you all did as well, like, oh, the more things change, more things stay the same because it's about illegal immigrants. We're having the same conversation now. We've had the same conversation 10 years ago. We have the same conversation 50 years ago. Like,
Yeah, it's not about the immigrants as much as it is about the herd mentality, right?
Yeah. And we're going through it at the moment. We've got a
Yeah.
referendum coming up. Coincidentally, referendum 23.
Yep.
And it's this whole thing that, I think you're right. It shouldn't be a matter of fucking public discourse. It just
Yeah,
should
absolutely.
be.
This is why you have elected officials to do that kind of work.
Exactly.
This is just inviting that sort of lynch mob bullshit, right?
I mean, to tone things down from the lofty heights of various referendums and immigration policies and herd mentalities, is this the first appearance of "Won't someone think of the children"?
First,
This was the
Three.
first.
Possibly. It was either this or Put the Spring in Springfield. I can't remember which episode comes first. But it could be. This is maybe the birth of her catchphrase. I don't know.
The Googling starts now.
One quick Google search later.
Yeah, Bart After Dark is season 8, episode 5. So
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so this was first.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I mean, Helen Lovejoy is such a
Oh yeah.
won't you think of the children
No,
line.
that's what I like is that it stuck. Yeah, they had it in this episode, but the fact that it carried over into other ones is
really catches that mindless panic.
Oh, like there's
Yeah.
a great Futurama joke where it's like, imagine bad things. Now imagine we said those things. As a mother, this upsets me.
I think now that I think about it, and having watched like a video essay about her, I feel that not Helen Lovejoy. I feel Helen Lovejoy is representative of like Anita Bryant, who was that orange juice spokesperson that was the big thing about against gay people in like the 70s, 80s in
Was
America.
it
She had
Orange
the
Juice spokesman?
yeah, well, she was sort of an actor, and then she became like
Okay.
spokesman for Florida Oranges, and she got cream pied, like a banana cream pie shoved in her face on national
You
television.
really confused me there.
But she basically led the charge against like, oh, we have to think of like kids and the impact that the homosexuals have on them and everything. And I feel that Helen Lovejoy is like
Oh yeah.
Anita Bryant. Like I feel like she is like the sort of a parody, almost satire of her.
Oh, yeah. And it is the one character wrinkle that they've introduced in the HD era that I actually kind of like for her is that, like, outside of her outward, bigotry for is that, yeah, she's deeply kinky. And, like,
Oh, yeah.
her and Reverend Lovejoy
They're
get up to
kinky as
some
fuck.
real weird shit. Yeah.
Bible don't say anything about kink.
No, it doesn't.
So go get your freak on,
It
everybody.
says nothing about dressing up like an emo and leading around Lovejoy with a leash. I don't know. That scene was mostly implied.
oh.
Or implode.
Yeah.
Hey!
She invited Marge in.
Wouldn't you?
Anyway, ultimately, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Outside of that
sure.
Skinner integrity break.
Yeah.
But I guess to its credit, it's kind of show that everyone is swept up in this kind of hyperbole. Is that no?
Yeah,
It's not the way.
it's not wrong.
Not
Yeah,
wrong.
Homer being an expert in something he knows nothing about and teaching people the wrong things. Absolutely.
Homerbole.
That was fantastic as well. Like that whole
you.
scene of.
Oh,
I mean, Elliot, hands down, best joke of the night.
thank you.
Awards handed out. That whole scene of Homer, going, and I'll tutor you, and everyone just going, oh.
Apu grinning and everyone else is like, no.
Then
But-
when he falls asleep and wakes up, and he's like,
No.
oh my God, I've forgotten everything Mr. Homer taught me. Excellent, let's go.
No, that final cap where it's like, sleep is for the weak, Apu. Now I'm going to bed. You look through my 7th grade history notes.
My favorite line of the whole thing, though, is now, can you identify what the stars on this flag or something like that? And he goes, yeah, that's the flag that disappeared from the public library. It is woefully out of date.
I was going to say as well, I like the bit that he goes, now we all know the 13 stripes are for luck. But do we know? And it's like, why are there 47 stars on the flag, right? He says, well, that is, between, I just want to point out that, the only time it could have had 47 stripes on it was between January 6 and February 14, 1912.
Yeah.
It was a period of like a
That's
month
oddly
and a
specific.
week. Yeah, because it was like, as they said, it was like between like New Mexico and I think Arizona joining or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Amazing. It's such a good line.
Also weird to think that only happened in 1912. What was Hawaii's the last state to get added, I think?
Hawaii was like, in the...
it was
in the-
50th.
Yeah, hold on, I've got it here.
Puerto
Yeah,
Rico.
it was 59 in Hawaii. Alaska
a
was 59
territory.
also.
I don't know the difference.
January but that was January to August, and it was New Mexico and Arizona. Yeah,
American history with the Simpsons Index.
Yeah, who knew?
And I'm sure we all loved that joke because, of course, back in the day, where is Springfield was
Yeah.
such a hot button topic between the kids on the playground, like guessing where it is. And I'm sure it was even worse in America because they actually knew what their states were, whereas us in Australia just sort of had a wild guess.
Yeah.
But the joke of Bart getting in the way, it's like, I don't even know where I'm being kicked out from.
I've got to say, wasn't this episode used in that sort of thesis around where Springfield was, because they looked at the tax, and the tax rate based on his income matched Washington's, I think, at that point, or something like that. So they're saying it's probably in Washington somewhere based on that alone. But I mean, obviously, like they've said, it's not. It's everywhere. It's whatever. But yeah, I think they were saying like, well, it matches Washington's like rates.
Yeah,
so
there's a weird thing as well where it's the radio station letters. So they're KBBL, and something like if you're west of the Mississippi, your radio call sign starts with K, but if you're east, it starts with W or something like that. Yeah. It's like really specific.
I was going to say, but also that is part of the whole, well, you know, the bear should pay the bear tax. I already pay the homer tax.
That's the homeowner tax.
Such a
fucking
good little...
Excellent joke. The times that they use Homer's name as a pun in the classic era, like pretend this is baseball and get us a homer.
Oh, yes.
But would you watch this episode again?
Yes.
Excellent. What are episodes that pair nicely with this one?
The one we watched previously with Apu.
Yeah, it's a great one. Let's go watch that again.
But no, Apu getting married, yeah.
Yep.
What else we got that's thematic or has a bear in it?
Right.
Wait, isn't there other times where Homer has stormed someone and like tried to get something changed, like where he becomes the garbage man for a while?
Yeah.
You know, he gets all uppity about something that he really doesn't need to.
The security guard one for a while, where he starts his own
Quimby's
patrol.
Bodyguard, or,
no,
Spring Shield.
Spring Shield.
Ooh, Quimby episodes, yeah.
Yeah, totally. The one where they go to the ballet.
Oh yeah.
Bear in the little car.
Thank
you.
The one where he becomes the bodyguard.
Yeah.
Say that just like a second ago.
And that one where he becomes the panda, but we don't want to watch that.
No. But what would you like to change?
The flashback to Apu's home.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that sucks.
Yeah, that just feels really very cheap and low.
Like they could have just changed some of the jokes there, and it wouldn't have been like they could have still flashed back to him getting his degree, and even saying goodbye to his family because you know he has his two little lines like "Make us proud, never forget who you are."
Fine.
Like
That's
part's
the point.
fine.
Yeah.
it's just.
It's
they didn't have
visually-
to, make some puns about India, basically.
Yeah.
Why is your dad topless?
I don't want
Why
to
is
do
it
this
yours?
to you, but I'm just thinking you could pair this with Lovers in the N202.
Why?
Because it's got young Frink in it, being a sex cauldron.
No.
Oh, and I don't think I knew that this is where Frinkiac comes from, because, that machine he's got is the Frinkiac.
Yeah, can we also
Frink 7,
appreciate the hidden joke that they're at Springfield Heights Institute of Technology?
Right.
Shit.
SHIT.
Oh.
They wouldn't have even tried that later.
Formerly Chucks.
Yeah.
Don't start that up again.
Sorry, George, did you say what you'd change?
No, I didn't. I think similarly, yes. Like just remove the sort of the stereotype stuff. I think Simpsons do have a habit of doing this, of being like, you know, at the end things have been changed for the worse, but it's just like, and then you can sort of move on. Like the one with the garbage man, where they just moved the town down, you know, 2 kilometers or 2 miles, whatever. But like with this one, this really highlights the problem with the American political system and how like it's very easy to scare people into voting in policy that is very bad for everyone. And you sort of, I realize it's the joke. If you're going to make you think that they're going to make a change and we're going to vote no on 24, and then it's like 95%, it passes. That's terrible.
Yeah.
Like Springfield is a worse place now. But that is just, well, cool. Well, that's the end of the episode, though, so we can't resolve this. Okay, bye. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't want that. I want to be happier at the end of the episode.
I know, but it's one of these things where it's like Simpsons aren't going to go, well, we solved racism, you know?
I think it's much better commentary to say that, like, look, we've showed you why this is a bad idea, why this is stupid.
You have to go out and change something.
Yeah, like in this world, they're all useless and, you know, they're racist and stupid, because that's kind of what Springfield is. It represents overall the worst parts of small-minded, you know, thought and panic and, you know.
It's a don't do what Donnie don't does episode.
It is.
For real.
So, like, I get what you're saying, because, you know, you want to leave the episode feeling better about life rather than like kind of like, oh, that's depressing. But how many times have we seen things?
Everyone votes no. We all drink lemonade.
The end.
We didn't talk about that in the wackiness, all the different polling methods that they have of like flushing a toilet or, you know, putting a shoe cube in a glass. Yeah.
I like to think that they were all unrelated to the voting. It was just a tasteful montage.
Yeah.
You know the Bulls montage in Austin Powers?
Sure.
The rockets and the trains and tunnels. And
That looks like a giant cock.
Wang.
Yeah. Whatever.
What would you like to change, Danny?
Shit, man, I'm not sure.
I think the thing is, it's a pretty tight episode.
Yeah, it's a
right?
pretty tight ep. I think it should have ended up with a shot of like Bear slowly
You just
leading
wanted more
suburbia
Bear.
back into the wilderness, and like the wilderness music plays as he kind of
And the
he's
bear
still
being like,
wandering.
well,
He's just wandering
my
back,
job's done.
wandering. Yeah,
I kicked out those immigrants.
Where is this
Off
bear
into the
going to go to
sunset.
next? You feel like the bear was deported from its own forest. And
Oh man.
It was bombed out of its own forest.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the bombings are up, so. All right, yeah, it's time for final note time.
Well, now it's time. Now it's time. Now
Yeehaw.
it's time for his final notes.
Claire?
I did like some of the signs and the general jokes about how Americans cannot speak English properly, or how
Yes.
Western people cannot speak English properly.
Barney can barely talk.
Barney went, yeah, you said it, Barn. And like Homer say get out, and a few others like that. So that was good. Or the United Stadians as well instead of Americans.
Oh my
Fantastic. There was a joke that I definitely didn't quite understand as a child living in the Southern Hemisphere, because they're like, this is as American as a cold beer on a hot Christmas morning. And I was like, yeah. But I remembered they're in the Northern Hemisphere, and
Yeah.
Christmas is cold for them. So I did like that. Oh, yeah, and of course all the jokes, like first line up the tired, then the poor, then the huddled masses
Yeah.
longing to
that
breathe
was a
free.
very dig at.
And I did like there was a little connection, Barton Homer connection at the end where he says, like, if I could just say a few words, I'd be a better public speaker.
That's some
And
good
everyone
shit.
just stares at him, but Bart is pissing himself laughing. And I really like that. Like,
Yeah.
support your dad.
I
Good
also
on
really
you.
like in that whole speech is like, we have to realize that immigrants are the glue that hold together the gears of our society.
Oh, well, yes, amazing
like
joke.
he
Oh
meant
my
it. He meant
God.
well, but just fucked it up.
Actually, I do have a point on that, because wasn't there, and like I'm gonna need you guys to help. Wasn't there like a woman recently talking, trying to convince us that immigrants are a part of America by going like, who will clean our toilets if they leave?
Yeah, I'm
And
thinking-
everyone's like,
You're thinking of Kelly Osbourne on like The View.
The View, yeah.
that's right. She really fucked up
She
there.
literally just
But-
goes, Mr. Trump, if all the immigrants leave, who will clean your toilet? And
Who
everyone just
will
goes,
clean your toilet.
what?
Oh my God! Like we know what you're trying to say, girl, but no.
You fucked it up so bad.
But that was essentially Homer's
Yeah.
speech as well, although he at
Yes.
least mentioned some jobs that weren't completely menial, but
Yeah.
none of them were great. Oh, except for Lion Tamer, I think was one.
Yeah, he starts with drive cabs. Yeah, that's the stereotype that they ride our operas
Yeah.
and train our tigers and kick our goals. And it's
I
like,
think they're varied and strange enough that you can say they're not
Yeah.
being-
Yeah.
Score our
Pigeonholed.
extra points, which I don't know if there are any immigrant kickers in an NFL team.
Who the hell
but
knows?
you
man?
know.
And the other final note was one of the lines that always sticks with me is when they're like, oh, you could just get married to someone and then like divorce
Oh,
them
yeah.
afterwards. And so he calls like, Selma, dear, how are you? Uh-huh. 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 Listen, shut up a second.
I love how it's listen, shut up a second. Like,
So good and delivered with such a like fake cheerful smile. But even her line, and I can never remember the order of her last name, but it's like,
Terwilliger,
long-
Klutz, McClure, Booby.
yeah,
it's such a
exactly.
weird thing. Like, was it ever a tradition that you had to stack all your divorced last
No,
names?
she's
or-
just a
Maybe
weirdo.
like the Counts of Transylvania sort of royalty.
I feel like it's because like, okay, well, this is now my legal name. I got married. I've got to add that to my legal name.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
sure.
I have to change it back to the other one first and then change it. And
I take his name, I don't swap out.
Gotta catch 'em all.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, it's long enough without Nahasapima, Pala, whatever.
Polywall.
So I do like that little joke and scene there as well.
No, I'm saying because that would have been a very easy out for the episode as well, and I like how they dodge it. And
They thought about it. They
Yeah.
did think about it.
it's almost like I'm only marrying for love. Maybe once more for money.
Which she does to Fat Tony.
True. Oh, speaking of which, the one guest star for this episode, Joe Mantegna, returning as Fat Tony.
Always great.
Always a pleasure.
Always perfect.
Jordan.
yeah, no, my one is just with Homer going, well, if I'm saying I'm gonna need a beer or whatever, and goes to get the beer, goes in the fridge. There's nothing in the fridge, but it's filled with 3 different cartons of baking soda, one of which appears to have bite marks taken out of like the top of it, and the others are like torn open in such a haphazard. I'm like, what are they using baking soda that they need it urgently that they can't even afford to just get the little triangle out from the side of the box to pour it out with? Like, what is going on in the Simpson household with this baking soda?
I thought baking soda in the fridge was like a thing that you do to preserve certain things. I don't know.
It absorbs the mold or something.
Maybe get rid of the smell, but like what are they doing to the fridge?
I think that's the point. You just put one in to absorb smell or whatever it does, and then you forget you've done it, so you do it again, and then your fridge is full of baking soda.
Or the fridge was so smelly it was a 4-box scenario.
Or it grows there. That's its children.
And also it led to Homer trying to make an escape through the wires, the telephone wires. And
no food for anyone, beer for him, though.
Yeah, exactly. I got you, Dad, and then pantses him. Oh, so good. BT?
Yes, of course. That's a bear-like animal, most likely a bear, wandered out in search of food and possibly employment. Is this crowd getting dumber or just louder? And guy checks his clipboard. Dumber, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole kind of turnaround not turnaround, the anti-heart here, but it works, is when Homer walks into the Quickie Mart and goes, when we get rid of all those immigrants, there'll be more time for people like you and me, Americans like you and me, Apu, kind of just, getting so swept up he hasn't even thought about the people around him. And even his, it's a dick line, but it really is a good subversion of the expectation when Homer's like, I never thought this would affect someone I care about. You know what, Apu? I am really gonna miss you.
Yeah, I forgot in all the fun and scapegoating. Yeah.
All the fun and scapegoating.
Let's see. When Apu wears the big cowboy hat and takes it off, his hair's all up in it.
Yep.
10-gallon hat hair.
Yeah. Also, when Fat Tony gives him his fake ID and he's like, hey, can the courtesy, you're an American now.
Yes.
And Apu's line of like, I'm a U.S. citizen now, which way to the welfare office? I'm kidding, I work.
And my final notes, Chief Wiggum when he tranks both Barney and the bear, put him under arrest for being a bear and for an accessory to being a bear.
And then he gets his own little truck to take him away after the zoo truck takes away the zoo bear.
Oh, yeah, the Mo truck.
Mo truck takes away the Mo bear.
The Mo bear. So what was Apu's final thesis? I never got this thing.
Back in the day, computer programs were run via punch cards.
Yeah.
And so this is literally a tic-tac-toe program which you need lined up all those cards that the computer would then process through to figure out its next move.
So it could run a program that could theoretically beat even the professional tic-tac-toe players. Yeah.
World's top players, but they have to be in order, and that's why Bart messes them up, and then they're basically useless because you'd have to rearrange them. It would take forever.
Yeah. I love the joke, the Nye Mets are my favorite squadron. That's very good.
Yeah, that's good.
And then when he's like seeing his parents in Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, and then just random relative who we didn't see in the flashback, just don't make the same mistake I did. On the cover of Cat Fancier. Very good shit. It's time to rank this thing. Is anybody chambered? Because I'm not sure. And can I borrow your pen,
I'm on that Gilver border. I'm not too sure where I am. I feel like I got more laughs on the last one, but I like the plot of this one and the kind of digs it takes at, reactions and mob mentality and scapegoating. It's smarter, but it's not as funny, but it is better in a lot of ways. So I'm riding that Gilver border. We're going to use my patented let's say both and then figure out which one feels true in my heart guts. That doesn't have a theme song, but it does now.
Well, better late than never, bitch.
Well, now I'm just going to slow it down, jerk pants.
I am rating this a gold. I disagree. I think this one is better than the previous one. Hence why I'm giving it a gold, not a silver. I mean, yes, there is still sort of unsavory stuff, but also it's much less of it, and it is more about the sort of American system and how sort of crappy a lot of it is. And yeah, so I like this one better. I'm giving it a gold.
Nice.
So thank you, jerk pants. You know what? Look, the racism is still hefty with the Apu, backstory and everything like that. However, the fact is, fundamentally, this episode is actually trying to take a stance against racism. Yeah. The lovely contradiction that was the 90s about everything. We loved gay people. We also hated them. We, loved immigrants, but we also like to make horrible, horrible jokes about them. It was a really, really odd time for TV. But
no, nothing else. Just television. The real world was perfect.
The real world was a shit fight. But, I mean, we were also children, so I don't really know what the real world was like. But based on our historical records, like Friends, it wasn't great. I think because the racism is balanced by a generally anti-racist message, it's one of those things where
I know, you're completely right. That's why it's funny.
but that's true, because I was looking at the previous episode thinking, could I recommend somebody actually watch this now? And I couldn't really say, watch it. You're going to have a great time. If it was the first time you're watching it, you'd just be going, fuck. Whereas this one, I think you can use that it was a product of its time with some jokes, but it was still balanced out, that it overall had a good heart. You're right. The jokes were probably less frequent and punchy, but they were there, and they were very like sort of dark satire almost, which I liked about The Simpsons. I liked when it got a little bit serious.
They really lost that edge of like having something to say on things.
Yes, they actually put forth an opinion.
Yeah, now it's a much more, hey, this is a thing. It's like, well, what do you think of that thing? It's a thing.
Yes, that's 100% it. The writers have no opinion. Yeah. They just make a bunch of random jokes and hope that the audience will resonate with one of them and tolerate. Whereas they were actually,
there's no progress.
Yeah, they were actually making a very anti-American, anti-racist sort of, anti-American political system at least.
Yeah,
it was quite a critique. So for this, I will go gold.
Look, I completely agree with that. I'm going gold as well. I feel like, it's unfortunate that flashback scene that it did resort to those sort of jokes, because I feel like the episode was just so much more nuanced beyond that. And, you don't have to read that deeper into it to go, oh, they're making fun of Americans so much in this one. Yeah. I'm going gold again in this one. And that's where I landed. Daddy?
I agree. Gold. Same reasons as you. It was an indictment of American culture, of herd mentality, of so much more, but also I really felt like all the characters were human, you know, and they were flawed, and they had selfish reasons and blah. Even fucking Selma with her, no, I'm not going to marry this guy that's about to be deported because I just don't want his last name to be tacked on. Such a like shitty but like real human sort of reason to, I don't know. I really like this one.
BT, did you find where your heart guts lie?
Or say it out loud. Say it out loud slowly.
Like 10 minutes ago.
Oh.
I'm gold.
Yay! Unanimous gold. We're giving this the gold finger.
It is web of sin, but don't go in.
Fuck, I had a really good point. Oh, yes, that's right.
Sorry.
We'll be the judge of that.
He's jerk pants.
Yeah, such a jerk pants today. The whole Simpsons Index today has been shitting on American culture, but I want to state, for the record, this is very easy to translate to Australian culture as well. When we say American, it's really Western culture here. I mean, obviously the Simpsons were talking about their particular system. That's where they're living. That's where they're writing. But the reason it resonates is because it resonates with
our
things that are happening in Australia now.
Our government is garbage, and our culture is pretty fucking garbage too.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, that does it with the Apu trilogy today. Thank you guys for helping me navigate these awkward conversations sometimes.
This has actually been easier than I thought it was going to be, because I'm pretty sure we're all on the same page, whereas, there's been some ones where it's like, God, this is just really awkward and painful, and I wish I weren't here, but this was fun. Thank you, Elliot.
And this is very exciting as we head into our final few episodes of the old 3-episode-3-decade format. And just really glad to have us do this one last time around the sun. I mean, I am bringing you guys back to review the new shit, but it'll only be one at a time now.
It's the new shit.
If you'll be had.
Ew.
Way to make it weird.
You can't trick me, Elliot.
Not twice.
Sure. Fool me once. But as I've been saying several times throughout the show, that we're an independent podcast. We don't get money from third-party advertisers, but we get money from listener support over at our Patreon page, patreon.com/SideQuestStudios. We release a bonus podcast over there every week. We've got a whole bunch of awesome shows that we've talked about.
Over 100.
And it's exclusive.
Exclusive.
But yes, you can join such wonderful patrons. I forget. Yeah, it's patrons.
Patrons on Patreon.
But we call them the heroes over there because they are our heroes. And I thought we just go around the circle and thank them. Like, I'm going to thank Grant Prusi. Thank you very much, dude.
I would like to thank Caleb982.
You're not going to go down the list?
No.
I'm going to thank 16 Ounce Mouse, because that was, I'm pretty sure, a show that was something I watched and went, what the fuck happened?
That's
But
a reference to something?
I think, is it 16-ounce mouse, 9-ounce mouse? There was a show, it was an Adult Swim one, and it was very Adult Swim, and you're like, yeah.
I know Biker Mice from Mars.
I think I'm going to thank Philip Wolf. Oh.
Timothy Burleson. Thank you, bro.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Oh, Chris Tarr, you're a legend.
Hey, AlmightyK, you're fucking almighty, dude.
You're pronouncing it wrong. It's AlmightyK.
AlmightyK.
I thought it was AlmightyK. Thank you, Katie Howard.
Anthony M. Thank you.
Thank you, Frieza, you little Dragon Ball villain.
David
Yeah.
James Young, you're a real one.
Hey.
I think we forgot Caleb 982, and I just want to say special.
No.
Claire.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Oh, you did?
whoa.
Okay, well, if that's the case, Paul Salt, I'm sorry. You're great, and I'm not salty about being a fool.
Yeah, Paul Goodman, I don't want to detract from your time. We could have spent a way more talking about your features, your gorgeous and glorious features. We will next week.
Editing Bay Elliot Jay here to say also a big thank you to nickibis and Teresa, who both have subscribed to the Patreon page since we recorded this podcast. So thank you so much. And once again, if you want to go over there, join the heroes and get some bonus podcasts from us, it's patreon.com/sidequeststudios. Links in the show notes, blah, blah, blah. All right, let's finish the podcast.
And and thank you for listening to the free feed. And I hope you do join us over at the Patreon page.
Yep.
And until then, that's been the Simpsons Index. That's been Claire RR.
R.
Yar!
No, wait, take two.
And another one.
RR.
RDRR.
RDR. Oh my god,
Get
that's
it?
so good. Okay.
No, that's Red Dead Redemption.
Thank you, Jordan.
RDR.
Okay.
Hey, sorry, Elliot. Thank you. No, thank you for coming up here and gracing us with your presence. I love you.
Stop stealing my thank you. Thank you, Elliot.
You're
Thanks for having me.
welcome.
But I love you more.
Oh, well.
That's why you slept over last night, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Danny, thank you. Are you just
Breathe again.
Sorry, I don't know.
like that thing where they edited all the wrestler promos except it's just breathing in?
Was exactly it. Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
Man,
And thank you, BT Calloway.
And that's my cue to exit.
And that's been me, Elliot Jay O'Neill, and that's all the mustard in the house.
There's still a cat here.
and a little mustard.
No mustard.
The mustard parade that they have every year.
There's our button.
Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. You can also check out our other shows, like Pulp Fury Radio, our scripted fiction podcast, which tells all original stories across a range of pulp genres, and Thrones of Game, where we review Game of Thrones in reverse order. Links to those podcasts and more will be available in the show notes. And now please stay tuned for the bonus scenes!
Oh, yeah, gotta get my shit together.
Oh wow, gonna dust off this classic. Damn it, Elliot, get your shit together!
7 years of podcasting, the shit is still not together. Actually, our friend The Real Jims over at his YouTube channel, The Real Jims, just did
Slow down, egghead.
just did a big guild documentary as well. And it's, like, he's had a lot of jobs and like a lot of lawyer stuff. Like he really took the lawyer baton from Lionel Hutz when
The French version of the baton.
yes.
Extra fancy.
Le bâton.
Baton.
Yeah, let's review Gary Larson stuff instead.
Let's describe them.
There's a photo taken of, I think it was Trump the other day, where someone's like, he looks like a Gary Larson cartoon. Like, it
He
was
really
like,
does.
yeah.
It's that particular body shape.
No, the
and
one
line of
where it's
neck.
like a Trump stands like the front end of a centaur.
Yep.
Yes, I love that.
Yep.
It's like once you've seen it.